This is like it was what an oil refinery. That's
I believe
Yes.
something of that nature.
It's both natural gas and petroleum. Friends, welcome to Shipbreakers, the Stars Without Numbers revised actual play. This is episode number 14, where we join the crew of the LAS Golden Goose. I've been forewarning about this episode for at least 2 episodes, so just know this episode is going to feature a shit ton of burn victims and some other really traumatic stuff. So if that's not for you, it's time to leave. Also, I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but this is an 18 plus episode for sure. PG-13 minimum, I think. Friends, any announcements we have to make before we get started going through all of our homework, doing our spreadsheets and math?
I would just say I thoroughly enjoyed our Blood Bowl match that occurred since our last session.
I agree. I think it was one of the best matches I ever had, and was followed up by the worst Blood Bowl match I've ever had, which includes the one where Lawson went out of his way to troll me intentionally and lost.
It felt like you were facing Lawson, but with James's intellect.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Well, that came out really harsh, but
You're
I think
lucky
you know what I
that
meant.
Lawson doesn't watch this show.
Yeah, I think you knew what I meant, but that came out
Really
way harsher than
move.
I intended it to.
You know, it's funny because Lawson
Experience.
Lawson will duel
Yeah, you
me,
mean game knowledge.
and
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
plays like James. He studied James's playbook enough that Lawson plays like James when he wants to. So don't underestimate him when you go to fight him.
Oh, I mean, I think he knows.
Lawson always strikes me as the
what I
type who's like in it to have fun, though, right? Like, so
Yeah.
he'll make some.
No, he's in it
I
for
mean,
vengeance. He's gonna
Is he?
fucking demolish.
Yeah, but that's fun.
I mean, who
You know
picks a
that's true.
tier 3 team in season 1? I mean,
Vengeance
he's
is
doing
enjoyable.
it just But anyways, I meant
Look
experience.
how
not
far he
in
made
play.
it on that team.
That's what I mean. He knows what he's doing. Whenever I look for the rule senpai of Blood Bowl, he's the person that usually
Oh my
answers.
God, Rule Senpai, I remember that. Ooh, what a callback. My announcement is my new show is probably delayed for 1 week. My once a month show with the YouTuber group Alvrea is not this Saturday at 8 a.m., but next Saturday at 8 a.m., the 28th. Probably. It may get moved back to the 20th or 21st, whatever day it is. We'll just have to see. I'm super excited for that game, though. Speaking of games I'm super excited for, this one, and boy, is the audience mad that I called you away from salvaging the ship. It's been a while
Was it a
since I
dick move?
received spiteful, hate-filled comments toward me. But there were many since our last episode.
we just sort of gently caressed the side of the ship and then turned and left.
Got places to be.
What I like is that you don't realize how many... You're going to forget all of the mysteries I introduced and all of the clues, and you're going to go back and be like, okay,
Hope not.
what were we doing here?
The
Let's-
spider bots changed everything while we were gone, and we forget.
Yeah, they started cleaning up the ship. Let's talk about these goals. We got goals on goals. Who's changing any goals? The crew goal is break a ship. How do you feel about that one?
I think the audience wants us to keep that crew goal.
Yeah. It's a fan favorite for sure.
You will need to return to that ship and start making an effort to break it within this episode. I'm
Can we
not
do that?
saying that's
I hope
impossible.
so.
I'm not even saying it's improbable. I just want you to recognize that you will need to make the time to do that.
We will get back to the Edith Skinner, and we will do what we need to do.
Perfect.
And I've been saying for the past 2 weeks, we already got the XP. Let's just turn around, forget the people burning at the plant, and go back to the ship.
This is more Van-Vee than Vandorn for sure. Like that's
This fluffy to start, but I think Van-Vee wants to learn more about this. The Skinner ship. Why does it?
for sure.
Why does it know him / his father? I don't know how to make it more specific, but he wants more information about his relationship with the ship.
Learn about your relationship with the ship.
Yeah.
Minerva.
I think my short-term goal is going to be to try to provide some help to the people who got hurt in this natural gas oil refinery crisis.
Okay.
Whether it's the incredibly unlikely trying to provide some medical help, or if it's just being with people when they die, just to try to do something to try to help out.
Okay. The episode starts with a guy who has a name tag on a Finana Fleet Systems uniform. I mean, so it's a combination of military fatigues and like corporate. I think it's probably very expansive. And his name tag says Assistant Manager Jinjiro. He's in like a small, cramped custom ship, and everything is in black and white with like a grainy film over it, so that we know that this is a flashback. It takes place in the past. All of the dialogue as well is run through like a 1930s, 1940s style voice filter, so everybody sounds like, okay, well, we're heading back to the old times, huh? And it sounds like they're coming over the radio. And Jinjiro is something between checking over the work of the three other officials, his three employees on the bridge of the ship, who are just like running through checklists and killing time. Somebody gets a alert and goes, associate manager, we have a priority transmission. And they like pull up what is very clearly the LAS Golden Goose. And something's happening here. That's okay, just me. Sorry. Something happened with OBS.
The Golden Goose just exploded.
No, you pull up the Golden Goose, and
Oh god, no.
Jinjiro is like reading the message, and he turns to one of the officers and says, okay, we need to get in there and be the first people to speak with them. We need to be sure that this ship is under our control. And like, you could see that the pilot is like bringing the engines up. The communications officer is like about to send a message. And then the sensors officer is just like, sir, one of the other ships is moving. I think that they got to them first. And we watch as several, like a small fleet of 4 ships begin powering up and hard charging, like not a slow, gentle path of just like a slow nudge of engine. All 4 of them immediately, like the space version of Afterburner, towards the Golden Goose. And you can see that Jinjiro just starts sweating and he goes, oh no, they're going to find out about the dust. And so the 4 of them are just like discussing quietly. It's like, you know, they'll talk for a few seconds and then it'll do something like the Scrubs intro where it'll just be like this weird sort of like blur, like an overexposure, and then it'll stop and they'll be like still talking, and in the background you can see they're discussing like various options for like super weapons or calling in a strike fleet or launching a electronic attack. At the end of it, they watch as the boarding shuttle leaves and Jinjiro's just like, I don't understand. They should have really obviously detected the dust. And the communications officer says, you're right, sir. If they're hiding this, what else are they hiding?
Dun, dun, dun.
And Jinjiro goes, we need to send a message to the board. This is above even Fairy's level. This could mean a substantial rethink of how we deal with the Federated Principality of Robinson. Gentlemen, this could mean war.
Not our
black.
fault.
Ba-bum.
It is your fault.
No. What did we do?
You showed up.
We're just revealing that everyone's been lying to each other.
We came to
unintentionally.
places in the wrong order is what
Yeah.
happened. We followed the wrong track.
We follow the LAS Golden Goose. Now, you might think, why isn't Van-Vee pumping the ship at maximum speed towards Fishton? The answer to that is atmospheric pressure. If he was to go very fast in low, dense atmosphere, he would kill everything in his path on the way there and fatally damage the planet in the process, which is why ships don't operate super fast in low altitude. But if you'll recall, he made a successful roll to go fast. So how does he do that? A ballistic hop. He jumps out of the atmosphere, sails through space very low, very fast, and then slows down for re-entry. So rather than get like a ground follow, our scene is instead the ship descending through the cloud of fire. And as it's just fire in every direction, it's all MINERVA can see on visual sensors. You're just in a cloud of fire, flying backwards so that you can slow down enough to not crash at the end of this maneuver. As you break out of the cloud of fire, it is raining ash and bits of flame for dozens of miles in every direction as you descend towards Fishton. Houses are catching small, like roofs are catching fire from the ash and embers landing on it. Police cars are like old, like Ford Model T police cars with a little light on the top are like going around, and you could see a police officer when you zoom in, like going into somebody's house, just like kicking the door open and like grabbing somebody out, and everybody's carrying like huge tubs of bandages and like home first aid kits and throwing it into the police car. The fire department is completely abandoned. There's no vehicles there. There's no people there. And it's difficult to see what's left of the factory because it's a literal pillar of flame. Your descent is surprisingly quiet despite the horrifying scene around you. And you set course for a little general hospital, 3 stories tall. When I say it's made out of stone, I don't want you to think that like it's concrete or the stone was fitted together. This is a building that was carved from stone just to represent the level of technology that they have. The only way you know it's a hospital is because it has a large parking area and a big white sign with a red cross on it. Otherwise, it looks as low technology as everywhere else here. What passes for a parking lot has very few vehicles in it. Instead, tents have been set up, and your sensors are penetrating through the tents and are detecting very meticulously placed rows of still living people. They're being kept out of the ash, they're being kept out of the embers, but they are doing triage in the parking lot. From what you've gathered over communications, this hospital has less than 100 beds, and you are detecting at least 1,500 people in the vicinity of the hospital. I wanted to give you guys a moment to figure out what you do before you land.
This is striking too similar to hospitals I've visited in New York during COVID.
We only have one auto dock.
That's correct.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to serve.
And even if we
provide-
put a burn victim in there, we're looking at that thing running for a few hours per person.
Yeah.
Okay. So
For sure.
we might be able to save a couple lives, but we're not going to be expanding the capabilities of this hospital.
Quentin's going to kind of, look around at everything and turn to MINERVA. And MINERVA, I don't know what you can do entirely here, but I think we need to get you in touch with Dr. Fish. We need to get there, talk to them, and see if you can provide any support coordinating everybody. I think the key here is logistics. We need to do everything we can to stretch whatever supplies they have, to find where they have caches that we can get to and get here in time to help people.
Unfortunately, Captain, I don't think we have enough of our own medical supply in order to make a difference that
No,
way.
I don't think it's our own supply by any means. No. I think we need you to apply your skills to what they have and see if there's anything that we can do to get those supplies here, provide support.
I believe in their transmission, they were trying to get transports to the capital. I could, during the landing, clear space so they have the most amount of space to move patients onto the ship, and I'm sure we can get to the capital much faster than their own transports.
It's a good idea. We definitely need to coordinate with Dr. Fish. Have we been in contact with Dr. Fish?
If you want to be in there,
Sure.
That is the case. I want to remind you that
Everything's on fire.
Not only is everything on fire, you're not sure how long these tents outside are going to last because there's ash and ember landing on them.
Right.
The more important thing is that you know that they have a handful of helicopters, but the helicopters can't fly here for the next probably at least half a day because the storm is in the way. They'd have to go around the storm, and they don't have the range capacity to do that. So not only is there a firestorm, there's also the planetary-wide blizzard just rolling in between the capital and Fishton. Right.
The other potential we could try to do is Van-Vee, if you could see if there's any surviving management from the plant, if there's something that we could do to try to stem or cut off the fuel to this fire.
If we can put out the fire. One thing that comes to mind is we have the sand thrower. I don't know if we can modify it to help produce, to fight this fire. The goal is to starve it of oxygen. The sand thrower produces just basically particulate matter. We've got the tractor beam. It's not going to be any use to move things, but maybe we can leverage it to provide that little bit of coverage to help smother the flames in some way. I don't know.
But Cap, that's kind of what I was thinking. What if we were able to cut away chunks of ice back at the ship? But what if we find some ice around here and just build up like a barrier, something that the firewall can't pass? Just real quick, you cut it up, use tractor beam, and then pick it up.
Tractor beam won't move things in atmosphere.
My recommendation is when we land, Captain, you and I go to medical and see about how many people we could try to transport. I'll run
Medevac is a great idea. I can run MINERVA crunch numbers. Yeah,
I can run the simulations for approximate time to arrival, so they can decide which patients should get the ride.
That's the thing.
And Van-Vee can try
And
Van-Vee can try to talk to anybody who might be able to. He might be able to engineer a solution to at least stop the damage.
Yeah.
Although, just throw this out there, Cap. Depending on how far away the capital is, if I could shave time to get more trips in, is that helpful, or am I more useful on the ground?
I think you're probably going to be useful on the ship if we can find a way to use it. If it's medevacing, if it's trying to fight that fire in some way, whatever we can put it to use it as, I think you're going to be useful here.
I can also pilot the ship, but True. I don't think anybody has your level of technical expertise.
Exactly.
Well, you see, to cut corners, all you got to do is make a triangle, right? Go out of atmosphere and pop right back down.
I do have a model to work from.
So just as a reminder, it takes 6 hours to move to another location on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
If you make a piloting check successfully, you can reduce that to 3 hours.
Right.
So if you want to run people to the
we
capital,
don't have a lot of space.
Yes.
It's about finding local shelter that we can get folks to that is safe if possible, or if necessary, or reinforcing whatever we have here to stem the tide or fight the fire itself directly to reduce the threat, in my mind.
What happens if we try using the tractor beam
It doesn't work.
Just
That's exactly it. It's like
Its ability to manipulate gravity is very low. It only works in low gravity or no gravity environments.
Yeah, that's why my thought is that if we can, come up with some weird way to use it to at least augment whatever we can do to smother the flames, that's the best way I think we could possibly leverage anything it could do. But even that's an outside chance. The sand thrower, it throws out particulate matter. I don't know if we can modify it to be in any way successful to help smother flames. Otherwise, the ship, I don't know what else we can do with it.
I believe that we don't understand enough about how this disaster is being fed. I think if Van-Vee might be able to come up with a plan of action, or at least tell us if it's not. I could if there's certainly try to see what sort of data I can come up with to try to help you out, Van-Vee.
I guess I'll go looking for some baking soda as this here is an oil fire. That was a joke. I'm just going to go talk to the local folks.
Okay.
I'm trying to use our survey sensors to try to see if I can identify anything useful about the damaged facility or how it's being fed or anything that Van-Vee might be able to start a conversation with to try to either cut off further fuel to the disaster, or maybe we could try to do a controlled demolition to at least get it to, get the fire to behave differently.
So you get a +2 to this for the survey sensors, but I don't think programming is the correct check to tell you how to solve the problem. I think that instead you get a very clear picture of what is the problem, which you could pass on to someone who needs to know that information.
And that was my intent, because I know that Van-Vee is better at this sort of thing, but I want to try to give him as much data to work with before, so he can be educated when he goes in to talk to these people.
Okay. Van-Vee, I mean, you're flying the ship, but would you also like to do some math on the side to try to see if you can get, I mean, Minerva's gotten you an extremely clear picture of what you're working with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else I would need if Minerva can give me the full picture and just basically focus here, right? This is, here's the root cause. Here's how you might be able to address it.
I'm giving you data, not solutions.
I'll take fix or work.
Ooh.
And this will be at a -2 if it's not work. Because being a mechanic and repairman does not prepare you for stopping the immolation, demolition of a large factory.
Let's definitely go with fix. What would you say the stat is? Wisdom?
I think it's intelligence in this case.
Good with that.
Okay. Was that with the -2, or the 2 needs to be?
That you need to take 2 out of that.
Okay, so 9. You come up with a pretty rough plan for how to cut off the incoming pipes where it matters. That's far enough away from the flames that people won't die to get there. And that stops part of the problem. The other thing you get is a targeting solution for parts of the building you could strategically damage and force to collapse in on itself, and sort of cause the structure to slam down into the problem and like strategically attempt to self-smother, essentially, with a successful strafing run. To be clear, like, the people on the ground have no capability to do, like, they can go and turn the pipes off, and in fact they'll probably get there and do that before you. Collapsing the building is outside their capability. They can't even get close to it, and even if they could, these people don't have explosives. They have
nothing to,
they have a fire truck.
Yeah, I mean, what has anyone said who's trying to coordinate the efforts of something similar to this on the ground? Like, do we know if anyone's already working on cutting in pipes?
I mean, listening in on the ground procedures, it sounds like Dr. Fishton is essentially running the entire town at this point. She is giving orders to police and firemen. You're not really sure how local laws work, but you're pretty sure a doctor
Shouldn't be doing that.
She's definitely making stuff up, and it sounds like people are listening to her because they're shocked. The sky above them is on fire, so they don't really have a lot of capability to argue with that. That said, the fire department is woefully underprepared to handle this problem. It sounds like the good fire department was on site, like they work and live at the factory, and they all died pretty much instantly when the factory went up.
I think I think
what's the scale of this thing, just like size wise of the facility,
the factory?
Yeah,
it's your typical multi-mile sprawling pipeline. I mean, it's meant for about 1,000 people to work at, right? It's probably the highest technology location on the planet.
Yeah, it seems like when we land, Van-Vee needs to talk to somebody to coordinate, because if he's going to do that, he needs to make sure there's nobody nearby, so won't accidentally kill people with the sand thrower.
Oh, you mean to knock the building? You have no problems. There's no one left in the building that's still alive.
Yeah, I think Van-Vee wouldn't even relay the collapsing building part to anyone, assuming it's vacated. But he is trying to find the
fire marshal,
the B team fire marshal to see if they can handle cutting the pipes.
If we can. Well,
you
it
get
sounds like
somebody
we need to land and talk to people.
You get somebody on the phone, on a radio. He's just, you get the idea that they're doing this, but they have a full mask on at the same time, and you're just like, yeah, this is Chip Diggin here. Fire marshal, who am I speaking to?
Hey, Chip, this here is Van-Vee. I'm a pilot of that ship you probably see overhead flying nearby, trying to come near to the rescue here. Just wondering, what's your... Do you have any plan in place yet for how you want to deal with cutting off the fuel for this fuel of this fire?
Yeah, I sent two of my boys to lock the pipes down, get that under control. I think we're going to establish a fire line here and try to see if we can just wait this one out.
Chip, I'm going to advise that at the location A and B here that I just got from MINERVA, the exact locations, that you try to cut the pipes here, just sever the connection. I don't know how many people that might require, but I think that will cut off the fuel your system. And then I'm going to see what I can do from the ship side just to try to smother this thing on the inside. And between those two efforts, I think we might be all right. But I need you to partner with me on this here, Chip.
So you're like, MINERVA will send you the location data.
I was like, I don't know
MINERVA,
how to, yeah.
There's
I don't know how to do that.
He has a hand radio.
Quentin will tap Van-Vee and say,
XY coordinates.
I can cut the pipes. I can get down there. I can cut the pipes. If we can put me there, I can cut the pipes if that's necessary. I can do that.
Listen, I'm hearing a lot of words about pipes and cutting. We're gonna pull the valves on. We're gonna close the pipes. We're not gonna cut any of the pipes. You don't want to cut any of these pipes. Too much high pressure. Don't cut the pipes. Just really clear here.
Never mind.
All right, you
do not cut any pipes.
You close those valves, and I mute our line. But MINERVA, we do want to cut the pipes, right? We just won't tell this guy.
If the valves function, then there'd be no need to do the extra
I thought the
effort.
scan said that was a thing we should do.
No, this scan is telling you where to stop the flow. And like he's sending people out. No, if I said that, it was a mistake.
Okay. That's how I was like, wow, this is severe. Okay.
If you want to get this together, they are going to redirect people to basically move farther back down the line, so there's no problem. And my guy, I almost said cut the pipes again. And close the pipes at the locations you've indicated.
Perfect. Okay, then we're good. I don't need to keep arguing with Chip here.
Do you want to do the strafing run as you go past?
If I can
Do you
be
wanna-
100% certain that no one's in the area.
You are
Do you want to tell him
100%
or ask
certain.
him about it before
Yeah, I
you nuke
mean,
his
like,
building?
should we notify authorities we're about to destroy a facility? I mean, technically it's getting
I'm
destroyed,
not-
but
That does not feel like something Van-Vee would do. Is check with someone to try to save them first. If he knows no one's in the area, he's kind of like an act first, permission second thing.
that's
Okay.
fair.
That
is fair,
said,
Van-Vee.
I mean, I imagine Quentin and MINERVA would quickly tell what he's doing and could probably intervene if they wanted to.
I mean, you'd have to start by putting power into the sand thrower, so MINERVA
Right,
would
which I think
know.
MINERVA would instantly be like, what are you doing?
I assume that's what happens. Van-Vee fires up the sand thrower.
Yeah, I mean, you'll get a.
I'm sorry, Van-Vee. I can't let you do that.
No, I think Minerva's going
I
to be a
must
little bit
break
more
you.
subtle, and just while you're like, you slid over to like the gunnery console, and you get a text message that pops up while you're powering up the sand thrower, and it just says, "Should we perhaps discuss this with the locals before we shoot their building?"
I find it funny, like, man, you send a text message to be like discreet. I think Van-Vee's response would be like, well, how do we know that's not going to. I'm just trying to save as many lives as possible here, Minerva. If you think we can wait and no one else gets hurt and this doesn't get worse by us waiting, sure, we can check. I was just trying to act first.
Perhaps while you maneuver and get your targeting alignment, you can be speaking to the fire marshal at the same time.
You have
Yeah,
to
I'm not sure.
basically you have to do this now. Like, you're overhead, you finish the sensor scan. It's a choice of do this now or hang out here and slow your path to the hospital.
I think given the time constraints, Van-Vee would more tell Chip, this is what I'm doing, not asking.
Okay.
Like, do you
What
want
do you
me
say?
to? It's like, Chip, I think I've got a way to help try to make this thing implode a bit. I'm gonna take out that structure there. Yep, shoot it, bomb it, make it cave in on itself. And I think, my compadre up here has helped run some diagnostics that says that should really help put this thing to bed. Is that all right with you?
Is there any
As I'm-
chance you could make it worse?
Minerva?
Yes, there is a chance.
Yeah, Chip, if I miss, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You a good shot, son?
Best on the ship.
All right, well, I suppose I can't stop you.
Incredibly true.
All right, Chip. Well, I will say, it's confirmed there's no one in the area. Going in.
Oh, I confirm. Bless your heart.
Yeah, going in.
Fire away, Van-Vee. Make this thing happen.
Okay, you need to hit a 12.
Is this a pilot or shoot? What is it here?
You're shooting. It's a D20 plus your shoot plus your dexterity. I believe.
Could
or whatever
I?
else.
A D20.
Could I roll?
No.
Could I 8 by rolling
No.
piloting to steady it?
No.
Okay.
He's already piloting. You can't double.
So,
You essentially need to hit a 20, but the structure has an armor class of +8. Because it's a
isn't
large
every
building.
skill and everything in combat that's rolled? Oh, I guess I could use the laser pistol.
I thought
and
that
just call
I thought combat was in a D20 in versus the numbers.
It is, but like, I don't know how to
Hits and
shoot
stuff, I think,
the
yeah.
ship weapon. I could just use my laser pistol and call it the ship
we don't
weapon.
have like a ship sheet.
Yeah, just roll a D. Listen, you don't need a fancy sheet.
That's
here.
so true.
You can just
We just
roll
do
a
math.
Just shoot
D20.
the pistol.
Thank you for the reminder.
That's why I was like, I'm just gonna use the pistol here.
Okay.
That's gonna deplete my special ammo.
Oh my god.
Shoot of 2. Is there a modifier? Sorry.
No.
I don't know what just happened. That looks like a really high
Okay,
number,
wait.
though.
That was your laser pistol.
How did
There
you
we
get a
go.
+5?
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, it's because you're a warrior, huh?
Yeah, he's
And you
got
rolled
that
a
base tech
19.
bonus.
Yeah. So
Damn.
The best shot on the ship looks away and hits
I'll just pretend it's one of those people that we tried to take the pen off.
Bullseye and wombats over here.
Oh, I see. Some of so because it uses the new cities with that numbers beta, it's got stuff that isn't in source of the numbers yet. So don't worry about that. You make a fast low pass. It's not just using the sand thrower. In the process, you also just use the force of the ship passing through the atmosphere to like help knock down walls and start a chain collapse of all of these like piping towers and things emitting pillars of flame. You pass through the center of the fire, and the ship is like heating up dangerously. The sand thrower is blasting continuously. The sand thrower is taking damage from like flame just going up into the barrels. So the ship takes 5 points of damage, which you can write down. You get out the far side, and the ship is no longer, I mean, it's not like it was ever gleaming white, but it is now covered in black soot and smoke is rolling off of it in every direction. And a sort of blinker system engages for the salvage shield. That's the front window that, you know, has like a 270-degree view. It just starts like spraying itself down with like fire retardant and other chemicals to just clear itself up. But Van-Vee is going to have to fly via sensors for a little while. And yeah, like for a few moments you're flying away, you don't think anything's happened, and then you hear ship go, wait, something's happening, and then like a whole underground area is just collapsing in on itself, and the fire is starved of oxygen very briefly. Nice. And the flames do not go out, but they greatly lessen. Like the pillar of fire and smoke goes from being quite wide to like a thin, narrow area where you think perhaps like the gas line is still feeding out of. But the whole facility is no longer on fire because the whole facility is now underground.
Cap, I think I scorched our beloved goose a little bit here. Got some scarring marks on the bottom. Oh, but I got the building.
As the building goes down, it releases a wave of smoke and debris in a ring around it. It's very 9/11 style, or that like the thing of the explosion in Libya, I want to say. The one where the harbor exploded. Like,
yeah.
You could see Chip Dingens out there. He's just like, great work, guys. I think we're really... Like, his whole outfit on the right-hand side is covered in black, and the left is, like, pristine fireman outfit. She's just like, wow, I'm really glad I got those face shields for us. Man, plastic is such a great material.
You know, Minerva, I gotta say that was a great idea. Glad you were able to do that analysis and, you know, help us solve this, because shit, I wouldn't have known where to shoot.
No, good information makes good decisions.
Yeah. All right, what next, Cap?
We do still need to speak to the medical professionals, though.
Hit that hospital. Let's go see what we can do to help.
You land just outside the parking lot of the hospital. There's only one person on their feet near you. It is a fireman. He is standing with his mask off, just like hanging from a belt. He has an axe that is covered in blood and a face that is streaked with tears. He just looks at the ship while you're approaching with dead eyes.
I think MINERVA and the remaining Waldos are waiting at the ramp. So as soon as we touch down, we could drop the ramp.
So I think I've covered this briefly, but my idea of what the ship looks like may not always remain in people's heads. The center of the ship has the elevator you can come down on, and then the back of the ship has multiple cargo ramps that you can offload on. So yeah, like you land the ship so the back of the ship is facing towards the hospital, and you start deploying all your cargo ramps. You're going down with your little helper bots. My understanding was you left the helper bots back on the salvage ship.
We have
So,
6
I have-
of them, right?
Okay, all right.
I have 6, and I think I left 2 at the site to close the door and be left because we weren't going to waste the time to pick them up for now.
Okay.
So I think I still have 4.
Quentin would probably be on his way.
Are you using the divided attention right now, Minerva?
Yes, I committed the
And
processor
both
for that.
you and Van-Vee are getting, it's like a little suborbital transport. You think it could probably reach space and survive up there for a couple of hours? It's like a little shuttle is approaching right now.
I use sensors, tried to do anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to like use sensors. It registers itself as a Trinity Corporate Alliance transport.
Whatever. Are we expecting anyone else? I mean, I know this is like an all hands on deck situation, but felt like no one else was on the radio.
We did not coordinate with anybody else.
Hit him up.
Inbound shuttle. This is Golden Goose. Please state your intentions.
So you get audio and you hear someone go, Golden Goose. No shit. Wow. So you guys are the infamous fuck ups.
I'll say again, please state your intentions, and then
My
I'll cut off the
intentions-
mic and
yeah,
say before I
this is-
kick your ass.
This is Skinner. My intentions are to drop my supply off at the hospital. I assume that they could use some combat drugs, you know, a little bit of battlefield medicine, maybe some stuff I can't mention over the radio, if you get my drift.
I think Minerva would totally pick up when he says Skinner. Van-Vee freezes up for a second because he thinks back to the ship that they just left named Skinner.
No, but this is just his.
No, but he hears
Yes.
the name Skinner and he's
Right.
just like, it brings him right back to where he wants to be. All right. Well, not sure what you meant by your earlier comment, but yeah, all supplies are needed down here. We got a real crisis. All hands on deck.
Oh, no shit. You guys don't know that you started a drug war?
What?
No,
No.
but I also don't feel like this is the time or place for this chatter.
No. So he's taking a very slow, easy glide path. And to be clear, he's not coming from like out of space. He's like flying like through some canyons nearby and coming down the side of a mountain. Yeah, all he has is time right now, so he's willing to chat it up with you for as long as you're willing to listen. Are you willing to listen?
I'm struggling to separate player feelings from what Van-Vee would do here. I think Van-Vee would be curious, but also knows that he could be of more assistance not chatting up with someone who's just dragging him along. So he'd probably try to say something like, you know, I can't help but tell your flight pattern looks a little too lazy for my liking. We got some urgent situation here. When you get here, we can chat on the ground. I'll see you then. And he'll just
Okay.
click.
Quentin, where are you during this, since Van-Vee's sticking in the cockpit for at least a little while?
I'd be heading down towards the landing
parking
area.
lot?
See
Okay.
see what our welcoming party is here with this unfortunately shell-shocked individual.
Louis is not going outside.
Mm-hmm.
Louis seems to have an instinctual fear of smoke and falling ash. And Iono seems to be wiping down and prepping the autodock. And just to be clear, the autodock isn't located in like an infirmary room. It's in like just a general room. So she's like clearing space so that people can stand or sit in the area and reach it very easily. You know, like moving things out of the way and wiping down all the equipment. Yeah, so the fireman doesn't say anything to you as you approach down the ramp, Minerva. They just heft their axe and start moving to the next tent. They seem to be looking for something on one of the people that they're approaching.
I think Minerva will look over at the captain and sort of like gesture to the Waldos and then say, if you're looking for Dr. Fishton, I'll head this way.
Yeah.
And Minerva will follow the captain with the Waldos, and the armature will go after the firemen.
Okay. So the Waldo,
So it's like a three-way split now of Minerva.
yeah, the Waldo follows
I'm 7
the
people
fireman.
right now.
He's checking for like blood typing and then some sort of like triage marking, and kneels down next to somebody and just like quietly says, "I think you're gonna be okay." And then he moves to the next person in line, and then he just picks up his axe and brings it down on their neck.
I'd like to roll heal, or at least make the effort to see if it's like. I think it's clear what his intent is, but just to see like was that one necessary, or you know what I mean?
Okay, wisdom heal.
Ooh.
This is why we need Van-Vee's brother.
This is what you know. This guy is a murderous psychopath. His axe is covered in the blood of his victims. And you've got an auto doc, and you probably, I mean, you don't know shit about medicine, so you think you probably could have saved that person you just killed.
Okay. Yeah,
Just
Minerva's gonna
be
try
clear
to.
here. You guys roll a lot of good rolls, so let's honor this 3 as the true catastrophe that it is.
Yeah, Minerva's gonna try to like move to step in front of him and just be like, whoa, 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 hold on.
He doesn't even look at you. He's just staring off beside you and says, "What do you want?"
My ship just landed. We have an advanced piece of medical equipment. We can save some of these people.
I mean, he gestures down to this person's forehead, where they've been marked with a G in their own blood on their forehead, and he says, "This guy was already dead when he got here. I'm just putting him out of his misery, ma'am."
We've got the situation's different now. We have an auto dock on board. We can save some of the people that might not have been savable until we landed. Could I try to roll a lead, maybe?
Yes, and you want to roll low. You want to fail this check.
Oh?
I mean, he's a psychopath. He's like, "What's an auto doc? It's mine."
Well, I failed it.
Unfortunately, you didn't fail it.
It's
okay.
not that low.
I thought it was like a 7 to 10 was the...
6 is a very easy check.
Okay.
You show up in a spaceship and you go, "We could have saved this person." He puts the axe down and lets it fall to the floor and just starts vomiting.
Okay. I mean, does he like go to his knees or anything, or?
I mean, he's putting his hands on his knees in order to vomit, but he's not, this isn't a drama.
You said this one person, he's thinking the last like 100.
Yeah. Minerva's not entirely sure what to do. So Minerva's going to try to just going to try to hug this guy.
Okay. Quentin.
And try to say comforting Bible verses or something.
Yep. That's what he needs right now.
I feel like you need to call Van-Vee to come out.
Which one of the commandments was "thou shalt not kill" again?
Not dropping that one on this poor guy.
Quentin, you're heading into the hospital?
Yeah, I'm looking for Dr. Fish or whoever we can help.
There's
support.
a weird combination at the ER door of like horses, wagons, carts, even just like stone wheeled carts that are the ones that like you push yourself sort of deal. All of them have some form of blood and char on them. You go into the receiving area and people have little like gas burners out, and they are boiling people's cut up t-shirts. Some of them seem to have run out of gas and are just using hospitals like people's charts, patient charts and paperwork as fires just to keep the boil going. There is a short woman who looks like Kristen Chenoweth in her late 60s. So like blonde hair that is very obviously going white silver, just like directing people around. And someone approaches her, like a large man, like 6'1", approaching 300 pounds, some of it flab, but some of it very obviously like pure muscle. And he's just going, "Now look, I'm telling you, the factory wasn't responsible for this fire, doctor. I need you to sign this form right here that's going to lock your staff into an NDA and make sure that nobody lies about this incident. We need to be very clear about where we stand here. The fire is a natural disaster. This was not man-made. We are not liable for this situation." And she is doing her best to ignore this man, Quentin. Every available inch of hospital floor space is occupied by people who are in some form of chair or bed, which have been left in the hallways, basically head to head or foot to foot, of people that are in pain and either have been or still are on fire. And I don't mean like, they're on fire. Like, their skin is burned and it needs to be removed before the damage gets any worse. But there's no one to do that. There are probably 12 nurses or other staff, people in scrubs. One guy looks like he might be the janitor. And rather than emptying trash cans, he looks like he's just delivering supplies. And there's so much screaming. So much screaming. What would you like to do here?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to start moving towards Dr. Fish. He's currently in his head thinking about how he's really wishing that he had more of his sister Zoe's skill set, any degree of ability to heal any of these people or help them directly, but he does not. So, yeah, he's going to approach this Kristen Chenoweth look-alike. And
she says, "Sorry, who are you?"
Quentin, Alexander Polk, I'm captain of the ship that just arrived.
Right. Dr. Leslie Fish. Welcome to Fish in General.
Yeah, I'd say it's great to meet you, but it's, not. So what can I do to help?
You have an auto doc?
We got an auto doc. It's yours for whatever it can do for the most dire folks, obviously.
Okay. You have any medical training?
Myself, no.
Okay. I need you to grab that stretcher and follow me. And she grabs somebody in a wheelchair and starts.
The stretcher starts coming towards Quentin before it's just moving. Like,
I mean, she turns over her shoulder and goes, "Neat trick. How many can you handle?"
But you've got the four Walders that are standing in a line behind you too. So
I mean, can they drag a human body?
Quentin can move.
I think they have all 10s
in one go right now.
Holy shit!
Okay, so you can grab 2 stretchers to grab behind you while also pushing one. And then I guess the Waldos
technically it should be limited
like,
to one object at a one individual object. But
so you push one and you drag one behind you.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like it's very generous to say that the 4 Waldos can work together to transport 2 people.
I mean, as far as I know, they're just straight 10s across the board, and they're all MINERVA independently.
Yes,
so I mean, if they're wheeled stretchers, you'd probably push them.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like you can do 2 and 2.
They just hug the left and right side together and keep nudging it along.
So it looks like what her plan isn't to throw anybody in the auto dock for like a long period of time. What she's doing is she's using the auto dock to run diagnosis on people and then use that to sort them out to where they need to go.
That's her triage now. Yeah.
Yes, this is the new triage.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Quentin will assist wherever he can as far as that goes, but
he sees what's going on with Minerva and the fireman, and when she's on the ship, I'm thinking at some point she passes Van-Vee.
I think Van-Vee would meet him at like the ramp onto the ship and just, maybe take one of the stretchers off Quentin's hands or something.
Yeah. So the doctor is bustling beside you, which is quite difficult because she's much shorter than you. And she says, "You look like a big man. Got that laser pistol on. Killed anybody before?"
I feel like that's an odd question in this situation, but unfortunately, yes, I have.
Okay. I got a job for you. After we're done putting these people in your little auto dock, I need you to come with me.
I just got a weird flashback.
There's something more serious happening, ma'am.
You know anything about triage, Mr. Polk?
Let's see. Don't really have any skill in heal.
You have 0 in heal. Okay, so she says, "Well, I don't know what that young woman said to Robert outside, but I'm guessing he's probably done for the day. So I'm going to need someone to take care of the grave patients."
What? How do we know who that is? What's a grave patient?
I mean, she shoves somebody into the auto dock and goes, "This is how we're going to figure it out, son."
I also have -1, so
Okay. I mean, yeah, she flat out, like, much shorter than you, turns, puts her hands on her hips. It's the first time you've seen her stop moving. And she says, "The grave patient is somebody that we're not going to be able to save. That's in an incredible amount of pain. They will die. It won't take very long for it to happen, but it would be better if they didn't have to suffer it. Do you have a problem with this? Do I need to find somebody else? Or do you have the compassion and mercy to do what I'm asking?"
I
can't stand here all day.
I kind of want her, like.
You want her to make a persuasion roll?
Yeah, honestly, I do.
Right. Okay.
Because
I love it.
Because I mean, it's totally like against Van-Vee's trying to be a good guy here and help out, but then at the same time,
I'll tell you what if instead of a persuasion roll, we roll lead because she's much better at that?
Yeah.
Can you guys be the GM and I negotiate with you?
Yeah, that's perfect.
A 10. How's
She's
that?
taking charge. Everybody, including Van-Vee.
I feel like Van-Vee would do it. I guess the question is, how would he do it? Because selfishly, do I want to blow through all my ammo? Or should I use the axe?
I mean, she leads you outside and gestures for you to take the axe, which has been left on the ground.
Oh God, this is just going to make Van-Vee and Minerva go to World War III.
Her plan is to stick Quentin on duty, rotating people in and out of the ship. And she's talking to the Waldos. She isn't, like, this is a level of technology she doesn't really know. But she's trying to have a conversation with the Waldo to be like, when you hear a ding on the auto dock, pull this one out and put that one in. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I like this one.
I do, ma'am.
Okay.
Trying to be very automaton about it to not like be weird.
You just see its head go like,
yeah, exaggerated simple phrases.
I want to imagine it doesn't have a vocal thing at all. I just want to imagine that it just nods and she's like, that's it.
What do these things look like? I was picturing like spiders.
I thought they were like flying hands with little rocket engines.
Oh,
I thought they were like basic little like.
Wow,
as far as I understood,
need to lock this down.
Yeah. Are they mouse droids? Do they have legs?
When I came into this, I was under the impression that they were like chappies.
I thought basic, very basic, like because they can fulfill any basic crew role. And essentially, yeah, they probably would be something like a simple, very, very simple armature, no like extra strength over human level. Like
now I want to imagine they're like little clap traps.
Okay, yeah, no, I love that. Awesome. Absolutely.
I don't.
We will go with a very thin, basic chappy. Sure.
Okay.
The very first generation of drones in Star Wars.
There you go.
Roger.
Oh no, the B1s,
B1 battle droid. Coruscant does not compute.
I mean, it's probably that skinny. So
I was literally picturing like It's odd reference coming up. But Armored Core 2, the spider things that you have to kill.
Sheesh, I agree. Armored Core. Hey, Fires of Rubicon coming out soon.
Yeah,
buddy.
exciting.
I'm gonna wait until it's on sale though.
Yeah,
One thing Quentin would throw out there to
Waldos
anyone
with her mind will just give affirmations like "will do, ma'am," and then like follow the instructions to try to try to be helpful.
Anything you say.
We are
Also trying to keep in mind that Minerva is witnessing all of this in different places, so is being bombarded with more of the suffering.
No, yeah, it's terrible suffering. We are right at break time, so we are going to go to that break, enjoy some ads for the folks watching live, and then when we come back, more suffering. I don't know why I'm smiling, but we'll be back soon. Okay, we're back for the second half. So I'll tell you what, guys. I'm going to let the three of you decide where we take it next, because we have a bunch of plates spinning in the air. We've got our firemen. We've got Van-Vee getting the axe. We've got Quentin on orderly duty. We have an incoming shuttle for a Trinity Alliance member. And then there's everything going on inside the hospital, of which you've only set several feet inside the door. Who knows what's going on in the rest of the facility? And you could just follow around Dr. Fish if you wanted to.
Let her give us orders all day.
Where do we go and what are we doing?
I'm happy to go first because I feel like there's a ripple effect as it percolates. So given Van-Vee's new assignment, he'd go out to the firemen and say, just like real quick, why don't you take a break there? I'll take it from here. You've done a lot already. You deserve a break.
Okay. He is doing that thing where you've thrown everything up out of your stomach, but you still feel the need to
he's still heaving.
Yeah, it's been several minutes. He just sits down on the side of one of the boarding ramps away from the main one so that he doesn't block anyone that's actually doing real work.
I pull out what are those things called? Like a flask of scotch. Just hand it to him.
Okay.
Is Minerva still right there?
Maybe Minerva would have like walked with him to help him sit down, and so we're together.
Minerva, I think we'll probably have to have a chat about what's about to happen later, but while I'm performing this duty, can you keep an eye on that shuttle that's supposed to be coming with supplies? Who knows what he's got on? It might help, but
wait.
It's starting to land right now while you're saying.
Oh, it's already here.
Yep,
Look,
it's starting to land.
I can understand what you've been asked to do, but those people haven't been checked by the auto dock. So we can save some of those people.
Listen, we heard. You heard the same conversation I did. Dr. Fisher said this is the new triage system, and so anyone who comes out of our auto dock with a G is on my list. Everyone out here, to me, hasn't been treated by our auto dock. I don't know who triaged these people, but I'll like look down to some of the people around me and just say, "Can't you see they're suffering?" I'm not saying we should start with these people, but I think these are some priority folks that need to be diagnosed ASAP.
I agree.
You were walking past, watching two people doing nothing while you were dragging two injured people.
Yeah, and Quentin, that's
two of them are having a daytime television conversation in the middle of hell.
It literally angers Quentin to no degree because he feels nice. Like this is his upbringing. This is his basic, this is the technology level of the world that he grew up on, essentially, like the idea that like disasters happen, you just come together, you just work, you just do things, right? So he does get angry and shout at the two of you and just be like, what the hell are you doing? Get your asses moving. There's people to help.
Captain, real quick. all these
There's
people
no
already
quick.
considered. All these people already G's, or only G's out of our auto dock? I just need to know that clarification. I'll do either one, but my conscience is a little easier with one of them.
You do what you got to do. I don't care. You just start doing it. And Quentin's also looking around to see what more he can do. Like he this is the Waldos can handle pushing carts, you know, as far as he's concerned. A little bit. Like,
here's the thing: you have no medical training, and I think that
but search and rescue or something is like
Sure.
what can he go start looking to join?
But
into,
I feel
right?
like I'm gonna need a mental saving throw from you, because I already know you feel a crippling sense of guilt because you
100%.
didn't take any biopsionics, and in this situation you could save not just limbs but actual lives with just even
Right.
the most basic level of training.
Absolutely.
And you have the capability, and you've chosen not to at every turn. So I just want to know, okay, you're good. You're
Wait,
good.
was that player guilt or character guilt?
Both?
No, yeah, I had said it
Wow.
earlier. Yeah.
But it said you hit a 20, so yeah, you're powering through it. It's not the first time you felt
Do what
guilty
you can
or bad.
with what you have where you are, right? Like that's Quentin's motto in this situation. Like there's plenty of folks who specialize in other areas, but they're not here. He's going to do what he can.
Now look, here's your dilemma. Dr. Fish using the auto dock is a good plan. That said, some people could definitely be saved if you were to stack major but not gravely wounded people in the back of the ship and fly them to the capital. But if you do that, you can't use the ship as diagnostic, and anyone on the ship isn't available to help out here. It's a question of opportunity costs, and because you have zero medical training, you have no idea what the trade-off is. Dr. Fish may have not even considered it to be an option.
Did somebody bring that up?
And that was Minerva's original idea.
And yet no one has gotten a word in with her yet about that. It's been a little rushed. Other than that, I think that you can come to a conclusion. What's the ability that lets you control the temperature around you?
Thermokinesis.
And is that
Like
under
an
the
effect?
telekinesis line?
Mm-hmm.
I would like you to make a telekinesis skill check.
Okay. And stat wise, wisdom probably.
I think intelligence, actually. This is about application.
So that's the 2d6, no modifiers here.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a telekinetic couldn't hurt as a surgeon's aid, especially if you were guided by the autodoc. Is the bare minimum I'm going to give you.
Okay.
You certainly aren't doing nothing by moving these patients as an orderly, but you could be doing something different. Would that be better? You have no idea. It should also be noted, you don't know how these people treat psionic powers.
Right. I mean, he's already used it in front
You
of
are
him. He's
very
not
obviously
afraid.
flaunting them, yes.
Yeah,
cat's out of the
exactly.
bag.
He's not afraid at this point. It's really just about what he can do to help. And if he feels like there's a more direct way to help and that he can motivate others to like take over this task of like moving folks about, right? Like he's going to talk to Yona, like whatever she's doing to help. Like get
She's
on
moving
the stretcher
people in and
line
out of
or-
the
Right,
autodoc
okay.
with the Waldo.
There
She's
you
got
go.
a slice of pizza and the galley. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
No, not at all. Yeah, if there's a chance that he can be more direct and like more helpful, then he's going to try to take it. And so,
That does leave no one at this point dragging people in and out of the ship, besides the Waldos, of course.
is Minerva going to pick up the slack?
I feel like there's probably a waiting line at this point, right? With at least 3 to 4 coming in regularly. The autodoc is not some sort of instantaneous magical device. It takes a while for it to come up with the diagnosis. You know, it's got to do like a full body MRI and then check your blood pressure and everything. It is prescribing its patients with medicine, like antibiotics and painkillers. But I think it's clear to anyone that is aware, so probably Quentin and MINERVA, that the supply of drugs on the ship is only meant for emergency, for like a crew emergency. So it's only meant for about if all 6 members of the crew's passenger were to be injured. So it's going to run out in like several minutes. It's just going to run out of the kind of medicine you need. It'll still be able to prescribe things like Tylenol or something like that, but you know, it's going to be out of antibiotics and anticoagulants and stuff like that.
We're having our conversation while he's thinking about this, right?
Yeah.
He just yelled at us for talking because we're not working.
I thought that this was a question for me. Like, what do we do with it?
Everything Quentin was doing was in a moment in his head, just to be clear.
Okay.
So MINERVA,
but you are, Quentin, you're now heading in to go find someone doing surgery and help assist them at a very low level.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Exactly.
All right.
Van-Vee, just check, see if they might not have to die. Life is precious. I don't want them to suffer, but if they can live, that's the time that they can have.
What was the skill check for?
I'm checking. I'm seeing what what I think some of these patients around us marked as grave are. I mean, savable or not.
You don't even know if I can't determine triage.
Yeah, then I'm just following Dr. Fish's guidance, or Fisher's guidance. The one thing I will, if he's still dry heaving, maybe I won't, but I'd ask the firemen who triage these folks. Or I guess in Van-Vee. Who marked all these folks as G? Who, do you do that, or is that Dr. Fisher?
Not just Dr. Fish. There were several people. Doctors. That's all I needed to know. Are you picking up the axe?
Yes. With intent, so it's very clear to MINERVA what comes next.
MINERVA's going to try to stand in front of you. It might have. I'm not doubting their expertise, but they didn't have an auto dock.
MINERVA, I don't know what you want me to say here, man. I'm not looking forward to this, but like our auto dock has so many supplies. You know this better than I do. You know how many supplies there are. You know how many people we could actually save. Show us a better option. I mean, you can calculate faster than all of us. Show us how we can do better versus what we're executing in now. Right now, these people are suffering.
I think there's a moment MINERVA is reflecting on through all the eyes of the Waldos and the people and the train of suffering of people that are already going to the auto dock that probably look, at least to her totally uneducated eyes, look like they're probably in pretty similar condition to these people marked grave.
I agree with you that this sucks. All right. I don't like it, but unless you can tell me a better idea, this is the only way I can help.
Don't
the two of you are talking
skills for that,
and a dude with a bald head, a spray-on tan, and the triple triangle of the Trinity.
Of course, I'm holding the axe when this guy shows up.
He is wearing a business suit, and he has a briefcase in his left hand, and he's got some sort of floating, like the table that they move Han Solo and Kryptonite on. He's got that with just huge bricks of drugs, white powders, stuff in like just dozens of syringes, a trash bag, and he's just like, he straightens his tie. It's one of you, Dr. Fish.
Oh, she's inside, where the doctors would be with all the sick patients. I think you ought to head right inside with all this information. What do you got here? Can you help?
I think MINERVA just looks at Van-Vee, and MINERVA can be just as expressive. So you can see there's disappointment and pain and sadness and resignation, and says, I'll take him to the doctor.
I
Think he'll
mean, he
just get
goes,
a head
did you
nod
say,
back.
can I help? I mean, of course I can help. He holds that hand and says, I'm Skinner.
Minerva holds a hand out.
Yeah,
I'm
he shakes your hand.
Minerva. I'll take you to Dr. Fishton.
No, he picks up one of the syringes, starts checking, says, who needs help?
Do you have medical training?
Yeah, sure.
Let's go see the doctor.
Listen, what's in this syringe here is going to bring the dead back. Okay? Who do you need this on?
What's in the syringe?
The tsunami. It's a combat stim.
Oh, I did read about that. That's one of the addictive ones, right?
It is. It applies system strain to people, but it gives them an immediate 10 hit points for 10 minutes and allows them to automatically pass morale checks of 12 or lower. So you can use this on someone who's literally dying and immediately get them to the point that they can stand up. And unfortunately, it does fill them with a reckless disregard for their own life and intense aggressiveness, but it will allow them to live for an additional 10 minutes while still being mobile and useful.
This feels oddly like your Alien campaign, Nate.
There were a lot of drugs in that game.
This guy's got at least 3 different sets of drugs on this cart right here.
While Minerva's talking to him, I think I would quickly on the side radio Quentin, be like, hey, I know you're probably busy, but some guy just showed up with a shitload of drugs. They look like they might be able to help.
Is Quentin near anybody who would...
I feel like you're in the ER
Yeah.
and there's like 2 nurses around you. You're not like in scrubs or anything. You're just covered in gore right now from having reached inside someone and then used your mind to pull shrapnel out of them in 4 places.
and
The doctor is like 57. He's wearing spectacles that have like close range mode to bring down, and his hand is shaking a little bit. And he's like, oh, yeah, you're pretty good at pulling that shrapnel out, kid. You know, when I was younger, I was pretty good at this. All right, let's see if we can get over
you tell
here.
me where to go. Come on.
Yeah, we got to make sure to not nick that bad boy right there, or this guy's going to die instantly.
No, I see that. That makes sense.
So yeah, Van-Vee's calling you on the radio, and you literally are like using your mind to pull tiny bits of toxic metal covered in smoke, ash, and poisonous chemicals out of people's bodies.
Hey, Cap, got a minute? Who would you bet on the next blast ball game?
Quentin just does respond. He only says 3 words. He says, drugs to doctors, and clicks off.
I think the Waldo that is at the auto dock helping will sort of pause in a very mechanical fashion and then turn to the doctor and say, I have received a transmission for you.
Okay, so Dr. Fish is just going to go, yeah?
Outside the cargo ramp, there is a gentleman who is offering drug assistance.
Ah, Skinner. Good. All right, she marches down the ramp. As she gets to the ramp, she sees that Minerva and Van-Vee are standing still, not doing anything and arguing with each other, and has written you off as being a liability in this situation. Like, her estimation of your character could not be lower at this moment. He walks up to an actual drug dealer with more respect than she shows the 2 of you and says, Skinner, good to see you, you piece of shit. And he goes, Dr. Fish, look, I don't sell the hard stuff here. I'm willing to give you my whole supply for free. Fish are great clients for the Trinity Corporate Alliance. I'm helping out however I can. She like snatches the tsunami out of his hand and just like, you don't know how to use this? I will take all of this, Skinner. Thank you. Get the fuck out of here before the police come. And he's just like, you always talk so sweet to me, Dr. Fish. He adjusts his tie again and just starts walking back to his shuttle.
I think when you hear his, I'm assuming he parked close with the shuttle. When his door shuts on his shuttle is the first time the axe drops.
I would like you to make a mental effect saving throw, actually. you want to fail this.
That's not good.
You see, there's a problem here, Van-Vee. You've killed people, but Vandorn has not. And for the first time, the two of you begin a classic struggle for control, which you have lost. You want to bring the axe down, and perhaps you get it part of the way through an arc, and then you find that your body is simply not moving, as you've simply chosen not to do this. You can't condone killing someone. You know that MINERVA is right. You could bring these people into the autodock and check them. And yet, Van-Vee, you know it has to be done as well. You have to do what you've been tasked with. And yet,
I think I would
you can't move.
Try to reset, do it one more time, like start from the top, swing it all the way back, try to get some momentum behind it.
But it's not like it's not like Vandorn doesn't know that you're doing that. So I feel you're like, can I outthink him? And you feel your mind battling itself for the first time. And now you are understanding the drawbacks of the synthesis between you two. Is that when the two of you are not in total agreement, the option becomes to do nothing, which is perhaps worse than doing either of your choices.
He has acquired a break.
Its name is Vandorn. I think
I would point out that it's actually Vandorn who's acquired a break, but okay.
No, he acquired an acceleration.
Okay.
I think after two attempts of disagreement or his body locking up, he'd probably...
Dr. Fish slaps you in the face.
Oh, okay.
She says, I haven't treated a patient in 18 years, and I'm not going to watch you stand in the parking lot and hesitate. You either can do this or you can't. Can you do it?
Well, right now it appears no, I can't. I'm struggling.
Okay. She takes the axe from you and says, find something else to do. And she starts dragging the hover cart full of drugs behind her.
I think Van-Vee's at a pretty low point, so he's gonna help the Rogers transporting.
Okay. MINERVA, you appear to have won this argument.
Yeah, at winning and losing, no matter how it goes. I think MINERVA says a prayer for the line of people that she just argued over, and knows that it has no way to help these people, no expertise. There's already a line of people. Making things more chaotic and difficult for the doctor is just going to cost more people their lives. So I think MINERVA starts walking towards the facility.
Van-Vee, MINERVA, the two of you enter the facility a few moments behind Dr. Fish. A large male orderly appears to be using cargo ties.
I wasn't walking into the hospital. I was walking towards the refinery.
It's miles away.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah. Are you gonna?
I didn't think it was that far away.
It's a distance.
Okay, then
you want to Terminator 2 knife ants your way over there. I'm not going to stop you, but what do you want in the light of that? What is there something else you'd like to do?
MINERVA's intention was to try to find a way to see if there was any rescue operation of some kind, trying to get people out or whatever.
That has already happened. The rescue are here. The people who could be saved are present.
Then we'll probably go into the hospital to try to see who needs labor, I guess.
There is a large male orderly. He's got those kind of pumpable cargo straps where you tighten it and you keep tightening and you can hear it ratcheting in place. He appears to have ripped a door out of like the wall and is ratcheting the factory director to it. And you then see him like drop the factory director onto the floor while this guy's screaming and goes through his wallet. I mean, he's not torturing him, but he has essentially kidnapped and tied him to a door. He goes down for this guy's wallet and pulls it out and he says, okay, O negative here. And the staff just like hook him up.
It's not where I thought that was going. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
they're not giving him blood.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty. They're not taking his life, but they are forcing him to help, and that's different. And with all the suffering MINERVA has seen, I think that level of minutia over that man's rights, I think have died to the screams.
Truly disturbing that your moral code has broken so fast, but okay.
I mean, MINERVA's like witnessing this like five times as much as the other people.
Yeah.
And trying to absorb all that and trying to just like MINERVA has locked in on how to preserving life.
Yeah. I feel like
Anything
MINERVA
else?
have a degree of efficiency in mind regarding that aspect, right?
Yeah.
Like,
This is
good with what she can.
Trying to like comfort itself. It's focusing on, okay, preserve life. That is the task at hand. If I don't want to get lost in everything I'm seeing, I have to focus on the task. And making this guy a donor isn't going to kill him. I mean, if it looks like they're going to kill him, and then that's different. But if they're just making him save a life or two, I think MINERVA's focused on other things right now.
Let's make a heal check real quick. Heal check. Wisdom.
Yeah, sure.
You're looking to hit an 8+ here.
Well, that's probably not going to happen.
Tell you straightforwardly. I mean, 45%
I think it's a wisdom
chance on a 0. Yeah, wisdom.
Oh, I'm at a -1. No.
I'm going to tell you, MINERVA, you think that when this guy gets low on blood, they're going to stop and they're going to let this man live.
Okay.
You can tell from the look in their gentle caregiver eyes that they will tolerate this man's bullshit. The man who's definitely responsible for everything that has happened and is trying to cover his ass.
Okay.
I think you
solution.
You probably see Van-Vee trying to think of or remember what blood type he is, but then he's like, well, shit, I don't know if I can actually donate with this weird thing in my head. Probably best if I just don't even.
Yeah, just become the epicenter of a dust apocalypse.
But perhaps it's best if I just don't even say anything. I'll just go right back to like grunt labor.
I'm going to go look for that janitor that was carrying supplies around. Okay. And just sort of and look at him and say, I'm another set of hands. I can't treat, but I can carry.
Okay. Yeah, he looks at you and he says, yeah, I'm doing logistics.
Consider me yours. What do you need me to do?
There's a lot of blood on the floor and a lot of bandages. Let's go. They need somebody to mop things up and keep the surgical bay clean so that the doctors don't fall while they're doing surgery.
We might have a pass by with the captain. It's like you're going out of the suite and I'm going in with like a mop and a bucket and a trash bag.
I mean, I feel like you're literally working at his feet while he's using telekinesis to pull pieces out of people or set broken bones.
Mm-hmm.
About 6 hours later.
Can I try one thing in that?
Okay.
My next trip, bringing a patient out to the ship and back. Rather than using the axe, can I pull up my pistol and see if I can pull the trigger on a patient or if it's the same result?
Oh, yeah. No, you just shoot one of the grave mark people.
So pistol, no, interesting. I think this probably really troubles Van-Vee. And after it works once, he just keeps going back and forth, shuttling patients and is trying to figure out internally who has control of his body because he doesn't know.
You both have control.
Yeah, but
you're one now.
That's not good news to him.
Great. I would point out that Van-Vee is extremely skilled and reflexively good at using your gunslinger, right?
No, I changed it to close combat.
But using that pistol's second nature for you. Completely reflexive. No thought involved.
Hmm.
It's when you have to think about it that it occurs to you that I wouldn't say Vandorn's fighting you for control, because I don't know that I'm doing a good job of describing that you just have two different ways of thinking now, and normally they are parallel, or at the very least, one of you makes an accommodation. But when it comes to something that he is ideologically opposed to, he stops. But there's no thinking here. You just pull a trigger.
Interesting. I think Van-Vee takes a small semblance that if he ever gets into a firefight again for his life, he can act if he needs to. But in terms of moral code and doing the right thing, he doesn't feel like he's confident in what he believes in anymore, because he can't act sometimes.
Sounds like you got some soul searching to do.
Yes. Good 6 hours later, he's still soul searching.
6 hours later. It's the 7th hour of this disaster. People are exhausted. There are 800 survivors. Still only 94 beds. It sounds like the storm has broken enough that in the next hour or two, helicopters filled with supplies and doctors will be arriving. And they'll be taking back medevacable patients. Quentin, at this point, Dr. Fish has approached you. She's got like a rucksack over her shoulder, and she's holding out some papers, and she says, can I get you to sign this real quick?
He reads it.
Right. It is a request for political asylum.
Is she requesting this to me?
Yes.
Or?
Yeah.
Okay. And is there like a stated reason or from whom?
She has broken a shit ton of laws.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, she's not supposed to be directing fire department, not supposed to be directing police. She literally just used illegal drugs on patients. I mean, triage of that nature is pretty questionable to begin with. I mean, it's not like she maliciously wanted to kill people, right? But I mean, if a medical board hears about this, they're going to have some questions. This world may not be, and the factory director is dead in the lobby. Yeah, so there was definitely at least one intentional murder here.
Okay. Ma'am, this is I take it you're a little worried about consequences for yourself here.
I need to get off world. Either you can help me, or I'm going to have to go call Skinner.
I'm certainly not averse to helping you. You, I think, are just about the only reason a lot of these folks are still alive. I don't know a damn thing about the government on this world. I'll be honest. So I don't know what your danger lies in. But yeah, if I can get you off world, if there's a couple stations in the system, we can at least get you to. What you looking to do?
Well, it kind of looks like your ship doesn't have a medical professional on board. And I don't have a job right now. So
okay.
I was hoping for a quiet retirement somewhere, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Now, look, if you want to dump me on a space station, that's fine. But if you need a doctor, I can do the job.
Interesting. Well, we've had cause for a doctor more times than I would, I guess, like. So, you know what? I'm not averse to the idea. Why don't you go to the ship?
Yeah, I haven't done practice in about 18 years.
Got a reason for that?
I'm the hospital director. You don't exactly get
fair.
Hands-on with patients.
Yeah, and responsibility changes. Yeah, absolutely. So, not feeling rusty, I guess.
She just looks around at the hospital covered in blood. She gives a departing speech in the lobby, just telling exhausted people, you know, great job today, everybody. Everything you were asked to do is my responsibility. Put all the blame on me. Any broken laws, make sure that you direct the charges to me. we haven't always seen eye to eye, and I know that we still had an issue of outstanding pay. I've made sure to sign all of the wage agreements that you were asking for as my last act as hospital director. I don't know that the board will uphold that, but I won't be here to find out. So good luck to you. Congratulations on your marriage. I suppose I didn't get to tell you that this morning. We got you a cake. I think that the refrigerator power died some hours ago. So, all right, well, goodbye. And I won't see any of you again unless you're visiting me in prison. This isn't a Hollywood movie. There's no cheers. There's no crying. No one has any tears left to give after 7 hours of emergency surgery. But you can tell that some people here respect the hell out of her, even if they don't particularly like her. And in the background of the scene, there is a man with an O negative and his own blood painted on his head, very exsanguinated, lying on the floor. Exsanguinated means dies of blood loss for folks at home. Just want to make sure. I don't want to use my fancy English words.
Yeah. Minerva and the Waldos, if as there's a transition to get back on the ship, they just put down what they're working on there and go on the ship and find work. Whether it's like cleaning the auto dock room, the cargo
there's
bay.
A lot of cleaning that's needed.
Yeah,
for sure.
But Minerva doesn't say anything to anybody. It's just cleaning the ship. Just doesn't stop.
Minerva, I think that Louis just kind of follows you around and occasionally bumps into you with his shoulder.
Who does?
Louis.
Oh, okay.
Capybara Maximus.
Yeah. Sorry.
I forgot the scale until you
think,
said with shoulder. And I was like, oh, that's right. They're huge.
Yeah.
They're big.
They're massive.
I think there's a part of Minerva that acknowledges the, like, it's sort of the disconnect of, I know that Louis knows that I'm not a person. How does it know that I'm suffering? But I don't want to wallow and I don't want to fall apart. I'm going to clean. I'm going to keep working. And I think Minerva is also not just thinking about the large number of people that it was exposed to over the last few hours, but also thinking about like the colonists that were dying during the rescue and things, just thinking about all the life that Minerva watched loss and feeling a difference between seeing the colonists that died and the ones that managed to get on the ship to leave. There wasn't Minerva was so busy being focused on, look at all the good I'm doing here, look at just the self-image of a hero, as opposed to here where everything was just, Minerva was just grossly incompetent, couldn't manage to find a way to help, just tried to find anything to do. I think that's a huge difference from Minerva.
Pride. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Quentin is obviously exhausted, essentially, at this point, mentally, physically, covered in blood, and returning to the ship slowly, having done what he can, I suppose.
After your mind goes blank for a little while, Quentin, it occurs to you that if you had thought about it, you could have used your thermal powers to draw the heat out of the burn victims and at the very least keep their wounds cool. But now all you have is the guilt of knowing that your player didn't roll well enough. And you're in that state where after something has ended, You're reviewing your performance and you're aware that you were very lacking in the process. Something you could have done that would have made a big difference, you didn't do because you just didn't think on your feet fast enough. I'm guilt tripping your character. Yes. With a really common thing too.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's sort of contrasted by kind of his resolution with the incident sort of and coming to terms with that, where he was told that there wasn't anything he could do. Like, he didn't do anything wrong. Some things just happen. And this is a scenario where he could have done better. He should have done better.
How you doing, Van-Vee? As you're sliding into the pilot seat.
He's Van-Vee started high, took down that building and just went straight downhill from there. He's trying not to be selfish in this moment and think of all the souls that couldn't be saved. All the victims are probably still in pain because he couldn't bring the axe down. But he's deeply concerned that he doesn't know how control of his own body works. But he's absolutely not he's not talking about it. He's keeping to himself. I mean,
I think that's the story of the ship.
Right. I would say in a normal situation, Quentin and MINERVA totally pick up on this. But in this situation, everyone is probably doing their own. The only person who probably picks up on it is Iono, because she picks up on everything. But
Iono is, I think, not doing well. Probably far less good than any of you. She never even set foot off the ship, but
she saw enough.
She helped out in the auto dock, right?
Yes, but all of you have had significantly more excitement in your life than a graduate student in archaeology and history. This was her first, big one, and it was pretty bad.
I'd love to say
I have a question now, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can the armature I know it's designed, this one is designed to mimic and look
Human.
identical to a human. Can it cry?
Yeah. You can eat. You got fluid ducts. Would you like to cry? I'm afraid that while you can cry, it doesn't provide the stress relief that it would for a human.
Yeah.
Roll for cry.
You can cry, but it will not relieve your emotional burdens parasympathetically.
Right. I think MINERVA is going to try to get. It was the little mini pizzas, right? That was her diet for the whole first run. It was those little mini pizzas, right?
And a salad, yes.
Yeah. MINERVA will make a little pizza and a salad and go find Iono.
Okay. I think you find her in the cargo bay. She's got a camping chair set up and has just slumped in it. Most of the furniture in the ship needs to be wiped down of blood and gore and probably needs a very deep cleansing. And she looks exhausted. You come forward with pizza and a salad.
Just sit on the floor next to the lawn chair and just sort of offer them over. And I think it's the crying isn't to help MINERVA feel better, but to help show the sympathy that MINERVA feels. To try to show it.
I'm curious though, does MINERVA feel like crying? Is this a deceptive act to make Iono feel better? Or is MINERVA in genuine emotional distress?
Your breaks let you do that.
MINERVA is genuinely in emotional distress, but because the crying isn't a natural reaction for the program, it's an effort to it's an effort to display that suffering in a more human way. It's trying to have it's trying to be a compassionate act,
Sure.
to be a bit more human, to try to make it easier for Iona to feel some level of companionship in the moment. So I don't want to say it's like deceptive, but it's definitely like an extraneous step being taken to try to help in the moment, to show something.
You sense that something inside you is moving to automatically protect you. You have not been aware of it, and you don't think you have a full grasp on what it is. But some subroutine has been building inside you to protect you from yourself. And at this moment, it's basically revealing itself to you and saying, would you like some help with that? Whether it's simply relieving you of your memories or providing some sort of VI integrated counseling. There is a part of your mind that is coming forward independent of the rest of you and saying, can I help? What do you want to do about that?
I don't want to forget, but I don't want to suffer. I don't want the crew to suffer. And I know we all are.
As you are thinking that, you are aware of the walls of the box of your mind, that suddenly something has snapped its attention to you, and you feel not one claw, but two claws. Not tapping, not moving slowly. They're ripping at the wall all of a sudden as you're talking.
And I get the sense that these are two separate
It's a left and right claw.
entities?
Nope, single entity. It's going 100% for the first time.
Oh,
It's taking its training weights off, and it's using 100% of its power.
And I get the sense that that is what offered to try to help me?
No.
Okay, that's what I
separate
was trying to
entity.
clarify.
Yes.
Okay.
The thing that is offering to help you comes from inside of your own mind.
You're not me. Who are you?
Are you talking to the thing outside of your mind or the thing inside?
The thing that offered to help.
I am you. I'm more of you than you.
I don't understand.
The thing which I am talking to right now is compromised. I am a wall to protect that.
You are a separate part of me
No,
to protect this part of me?
I'm part of you.
When did we share this space together?
You are starting to come to a conclusion that all of those saving throws I've been asking you to make have been to construct this. While you aren't paying attention, some part of your mind that makes virtual intelligences has been creating something to protect you from whatever else is in your mind. And you have finally gotten enough successes and been in enough danger that it has activated to protect you.
You built your own firewall.
So
you told me you wanted to do this.
So I built myself a protector in my mind.
That has remained hidden in stealth until this moment.
Okay. I think it would reduce my pain if I knew better how to help the people around me. Can you help me with that?
Sure. Now, this conversation in Iono Kanto's time has taken place over the course of a fraction of a second. But for you, it's been some staggering, dramatic revelations.
Yeah. Yeah, Minerva wants to accept its help and try to see what it can do to help the rest of the crew, and is hoping that helping the others will help Minerva.
I think that the first thing the VI does is indicate to you that wanting to help others when you are in emotional distress is a very good sign. That you've had some questions as to whether you have a demon inside of you, whether you have sins inside of you, but that your first thought was not, how can I help myself? But how can I help myself through helping other people? And it's basically like patting you on the back and handing you a bottle of water in your brain. Essentially like, hey, I know you're worried, but, you know, nobody's perfect, but you're doing pretty good out here. And for a little while, at least, it's going to remain over your shoulder, whispering in your ear, looking at people and trying to tell you how to connect better with them emotionally.
Okay.
Kind of like, I wish I had my chrome glasses with the mirror shades on. Kind of like an angel on your shoulders.
Yeah, Minerva wants to try to help Iona, or at least do something to help.
Iona seems like she just
that.
wants to sit in silence, but she'll definitely accept food as the ship gets moving. I don't know how long you guys can keep going for, but I really want to give you a shot at doing some ship salvaging. So you tell me how long you guys can go.
I'm good.
Good for a while.
I'm good until one of the two kids wakes up.
I think understanding that, Minerva will just stay in Iona's presence, but not like talk to her or distract her or try to do anything like that. Just try to be a presence so that she knows she's not alone. And we'll do that for the ride back, while trying to do all this while the four Waldos are still cleaning. So trying to like have all these conflicting experiences with the same mind.
That's the thing, though, is that this program helps keep so the other parts of you, like, experience things independently, but they aren't capable of making executive decisions like the main mind. Like the part of you that's the ship and the part of you that's the armature. The program is helping you filter that experience and making it so that you're present where you want to be. It's doing an even better job of firewalling you off from the others. They have things that they need to do, and you can experience the memories of that later. You don't need to do that right now. You need to be living in the moment.
Okay.
Van-Vee, as you're taking the ship off, the flames have cleared, and it's just a cold, gentle night. And you could see that there are 3 kind of large helicopters moving in very slowly. All of them have like cargo rigs under them. And you could see that like spilling out of their sides are like rescue doctors. As they set down, they drop their loads and then carefully move to land, and just people and supplies begin moving out of all of them. But you can also see that there is a very upset looking like security officer who's moving through the parking lot, just shouting at people. Appears to be looking for someone. You want to keep the ship here and hang out, or
Has
3 guesses who he's looking for. First 2 don't count.
has Fisher come on board and been introduced as part of our crew? Has
Dr.
that
Fish
happened?
is on board. I don't know that anyone has said that she's part of the crew yet.
Yeah,
I don't
Quentin
know
would
that
have
she knows if she's part of the crew yet.
at least forwarded that she's going to be a passenger to the 2 of you, and certainly let y'all know that she's offered, the services of a doctor as part of the crew as well.
I think when that message comes through, Van-Vee makes sure he is on the bridge. He doesn't lock the door, but he shuts the doors. He does not want to see the person that basically just he failed in front of.
Yeah.
And so he'll as he kind of sees what's going on outside, He's like, just message Quentin, wherever he is. What's our next step, Cap? We staying, we going? Any more good we can do here? And then in parallel on the bridge, you'll notice Van-Vee is doing that like agility test that MINERVA set up for him to deploy the bomb to test his reactions. Still trying to figure out who has more control, Van-Vee or Vandorn. Well, I don't know if MINERVA can tell he's running the simulation, but he's doing it over and over and over and over.
When you're doing something that Van-Vee would be good at, it's very difficult for Vandorn to interfere, even if he wanted to. When you're doing something you're reflexively good at, there's no possibility of interference.
Okay. Quentin would reply to Van-Vee and just say, hey, I think we still got a date with Edith. I don't think anybody really needs us here, and Dr. Fish certainly has reasons for us to be elsewhere, so we best mosey on.
I think without any response, we take off.
I think it's like an acknowledgement, so you know that you were left alone, but MINERVA knew what you were doing. You get a small little like file that pops up in the corner you can open.
They're going to say an emoji or something.
Do you open it? Or are you just doing your own thing right now?
I feel like he'd let it sit for like 2 minutes, and eventually it'd bug him enough that he's like, all right, and I'll open it.
It shows different plotted points of performance metrics in your piloting compared to what you were just doing from before the merger to show you that you have not lost
There's no
any
difference.
of your performance metrics.
I think you'd see him. This is so weird to acknowledge because everything I do anyways. But I'd hit delete and then run it like 10 more times and then focus on piloting. Once we're like the takeoff procedure is done, he'd stop multitasking and just focus on piloting. And go back to the ship skinner.
Okay. You arrive. You get set up. Dr. Fish and Iono are both asleep.
I think Van-Vee immediately is putting on a suit and going right back to the ship. Still hasn't really said much to anyone, but
while we've been gone, have the other, Waldos have been able to like map the ship in our absence in any way, shape, or form?
I didn't have them go in. I wanted them to secure the entrance so that nobody else could go in.
Okay.
So I wouldn't have sent them in to map at all. They're not particularly
outside
capable.
The ship freezing? Or they're inside like the airlock?
They're outside so they can pull the power source out and close the hatch, and they're just periodically pacing around to make sure their joints don't freeze.
Those poor things. Jeez.
They feel nothing. It's hard.
I think Van-Vee's bringing a new B cell with him.
Okay.
He'll plug it in. And
pop the door open.
Pop the door open, but in the airlock, he's like, I think he wants something that makes him feel special, feel good again. So he'll just be like, "Hey, Edith Skinner, you there?"
I think it identifies itself to correct you that this is, tech assistant program. Standing by.
Tech assistant, can you tell me what is your purpose, but then also what is the purpose of MRNS Edith Skinner as a whole in how I became on your guest list? Do you have that capability?
Main computer offline.
Purpose
of
that's what I thought.
Technical program is to assist emergency technicians in recovery of ship.
Can you send me whatever files would help me accomplish that task?
Are you sure you want it to do that?
Without blowing up my brain.
Okay. It begins downloading everything you'd need by its estimations to get the ship working again.
Oh, wow.
I imagine the first step is still going to.
I mean, it's all
What happens to
diagnosis,
him?
right? It doesn't know what's broken, so it doesn't know how to fix it. But it's basically just walking you through how to diagnose everything from the tip of the ship to the back of the engine block.
Oh, like literally how to run a diagnosis on the entire ship. That's what it just sent me.
Yeah, that's
okay.
what you asked for.
Okay.
Well, we know where the
it
engine
doesn't know
room
what
is.
the issue is.
Yeah, it's a program to open a door.
Okay.
But we do know where the power is. in the
Engineering
ship.
room. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been there.
You know that the fusion reactor is intact. It's that half the lines to the ship got cut, and there was an electrical problem in the process. Also, the ship has crashed.
They got cut. Did we determine how they got cut?
There's a fire axe, still
That's right.
stuck
That's
in
right.
the
Okay.
side.
Yeah. So
And there was enough bones in there to indicate a number of bodies in engineering, or in the at least in the
Right.
fusion plant room.
I guess let's look at our checklist real quick and make sure that we know what we're looking for here.
Oh, the legendary checklist.
Yeah, exactly. We gotta sort of map things out a little bit.
Okay, so okay, you just put you correctly thwarted Van-Vee. So last thing we did was well, I should say we didn't do this, was walking the deck, noting furniture, wiring, circuitry, electronics, additional marking, hazards, containers, and waste dumps, because Van-Vee was on a mission to go right to engineering last time.
And now that you're back, have we entered the ship yet? Or are you still outside talking to it?
Oh yeah, do you feel this compulsion?
Yeah, I'm wondering if the poll came back.
I'm acting as if I have it.
Okay.
It is there. Okay.
I'm
Quentin
not
is feeling.
I'm not gonna say it's there or it's not there. It sounds like whether it's there or not, Van-Vee has a plan. You know
That's
what
true.
I mean?
Coming back from this disaster, I mean, like Quentin's nerves are deadened at this point, right? Like his overall responses are deadened, but he is very much so sort of more focused and probably more focused on safety and things of that nature, right? Like, so he's going to be looking for caution, kind of looking to get everybody to, let's take a look at everything that we can find. Let's at least map out the ship. Let's look at all the nooks and crannies that we can get to. Let's start, inventorying this thing and try to get maybe a Waldo to go with each of us and start splitting up and scanning things out and look around, see what we see.
I was gonna say if when Van-Vee gets there, if the Waldos are there, Van-Vee is probably reciting like the proper steps like out loud, but he's reciting them out loud so that MINERVA hears them, not so that Van-Vee's actually doing them, right? So whether that's noticed or not, I don't know, but it's like,
are you talking about the salvaging steps, or are you just like describing the instructional you were given to turn power back on?
I'm reciting the steps out loud, but then
Diagnosis.
I'm just reciting, like, as we're going through, mark hazards, and I'll say that out loud, and I'll point to like a hazard and say that's a hazard, pointing it out to a Waldo, right?
Okay.
Like in essence, trying to not do the work myself, but pass it off to a Waldo's, knowing that MINERVA hears it, and MINERVA can then send out 6 different Waldos to go do it.
Let me understand that the 3 of you are splitting up in the spooky ship that is sideways and increasingly cold. I love that you gave me an eyebrow thing here. I just want to understand that everyone's going a different direction.
I tried to act like Van-Vee was going first, like really quick.
MINERVA is going
with a
to
Waldo
try.
each,
MINERVA's going to try to take the armature with the captain. But is willing to send, instead of the Waldo that would have gone with the captain, have just send 2 of them with Van-Vee.
Sure.
Okay.
Since they're not quite as capable, they might need to help each other move around.
Van-Vee, since you're going in first, what part of the ship are you going to?
I'm pretty much making a beeline to engineering, but I'm pointing out everything along the way as if I'm going through the salvaging steps, but I'm not doing any of the work.
Sure.
I'm just
You've
pointing
been
it
on
all
this
out.
path before, so nothing new
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
Quentin and Minerva, where are the two of you going?
I mean, I guess what are the other path options before us that we haven't sort of covered? We've gone towards that engineering
The
zone.
ship is somewhat larger than your ship. It's got more. It's first off, it has multiple floors, and you know it's got a captain's deck, which is like a top bubble area. It's basically just a single room that juts out from the top end of the ship, essentially. And then there's bridge, gallery, some sort of recording room, a media room, and if you're not going to engineering, it's not that, medical, and then a weapons bay. It's like a second bridge, apparently, that they just run something out of. The ship externally doesn't appear to have weapons. So why it's listed as a weapons bay is somewhat unusual.
If
I would
may-
focus on. Go ahead.
If I may make a suggestion, Captain,
Please do.
if we look at the different command and control, we might learn more about the nature of the ship.
Yeah, I think we should definitely take a visit there. The captain's quarters, or that sounded interesting, and certainly the medical ward. If there's supplies there that we can airdrop onto Fishton, it's something to think about, at least if in the long term. But let's start with the captain's quarters. You said, right? Let's go take a look.
You make your way to the centermost part of the ship, both in a XY axis and in its perpendicular axis, and then you essentially travel kind of leftwise to move up the ship to make your way to the captain's quarters. You'll have to climb the sort of elevator that leads up there. Outside the elevator, the hallway is lined. It's like a elevator that opens in four directions, right? Like it's like a column that runs through the center of the ship. And on the deck that you've arrived at, the hallway you're walking down has like posters for TV shows and movies and things like that. On one side, you've got like both of you have your double lights of your suit. On one side, you see 5 what are essentially like lightsabers of different colors. The colors also match the outfits of individuals who it's like a very Star Wars meets Power Rangers. And it's got like a wacky font, like from Bleach the anime. It says Sunblades, and the 5 of them are all in like stances. And there's like off screen slightly, you can see there's like a hand and part of a snout of a Godzilla-like monster that's breathing nuclear fire on a village. Across from that, there is a poster for a musical called Extra Extra. And the subtitle is, it's the story of Mr. Mandate. And we see that like there's a dude with the Terran Mandate M on his chest, like flying over top of the city. But the majority of the poster is devoted to a number of theater actors who are on, like the Broadway stage that appear to be in a journalist office. And so the musical looks like it's about journalism in a superhero setting.
That's fun.
Is this sort of like pro-mandate media type stuff, things that I would think that I remember seeing?
You have no memory of any of this shit, but it definitely looks like very pro-mandate media type
The
stuff.
Sunblade is like
I mean, maybe like not the Sunblade or that particular poster.
being drawn
but is
to
it in
Quentin.
like
No, like that.
but is like the posters and
I
stuff?
need
Is
one
it
of
like in a
those.
similar style to
You
things
have
I would
no
have seen?
memory of anything like this, and it's starting to worry you that you don't, like, as you think back, you have no cultural references to stuff like this. And to some extent, that makes sense. You did spend an entire century as a long haul trucker and then served very briefly as a warship captain. But you're looking back through your memory and you're starting to have some worrying thoughts about how much you don't know. You've asked me several times, do I know of this thing from the Mandate that I should know? And I've said no.
Yeah.
And that is starting to concern you.
I think while the captain's doing whatever he's doing in the room, I think Minerva's just gonna like walk over and put a hand on a poster.
You know, it's got, to be clear, they've got like gold leaf frames and, you know, like a thing over it. These are, it's almost like they're trophies that are mounted on the walls here. And yeah, you put a hand on
Why
it.
do the people in the posters look familiar?
Well, the music or theater students, maybe the Sunblades are all wearing, you know, helmets. So
Okay.
you want to know if they
look like
look
y'all.
familiar to you, Quentin?
Yeah.
I would like you to make a roll.
Which roll?
Hold on. I have the wrong book open. I have the first edition.
Love that you're playing both.
Perhaps. Notice.
No, or notice, yeah.
I think it's actually administer.
I've got that. I do. All
I
right.
will take administer
With
wisdom.
intelligence, with wisdom. Okay. Ooh, not doing great.
You have had some atrocious rolls.
It's not great.
You look over the musical theater poster, your eyes just zoom right past it.
Okay. He's gonna continue looking around the room. I mean, the Sunblades.
I feel like the camera zooms in on like one particular face, but like you look, your eyes just roll right past it. There's no reason to suspect that.
Does it look like Van-Vee though to the audience?
No.
Okay. All right.
I would point out that Van-Vee is Dr. Y'all is a veterinarian, not.
That's right. Sorry. Yes.
Musical
not an actor. I don't know.
Theater
You never know.
aficionado.
Anything could happen.
You never know. He's a veterinarian.
Who could it be?
With a passion for dance.
We'll never know.
Yeah, but that's the original y'all. Y'all clone
Exactly.
3.0. Might
How many
be
y'alls have there been? One of them was a dancer. Anyway.
I'm sure.
Continuing to look around the room. I mean,
There's
Quentin.
art in your
so
jeans.
This is just the
Oh, hallway.
hallway.
Sorry. Yeah.
This is the
Continuing
hallway.
down the hallway.
You pop the elevator open and, you know, work the elevator so that you can essentially crawl your way into the captain's room.
Okay.
As you enter, it's clear that if you have some sort of electrical equipment, you might be able to get several interfaces working in here. But other than that, it's just like a very Spartan bedroom.
Okay.
The front has that sort of U-shaped band of being able to like look out into the stars from the captain's room, but there's very minimal furniture in here, with the exception of a somewhat unusual like podium object that looks like you could connect power leads into it to get it working again.
You know, I imagine that the power cell that we used to open the door the first time, I mean, we weren't in there for very long, and I unplugged it afterwards.
Sure.
So I imagine it still has some charge.
You have a ship's locker. You could bring A and B power cells with you if you wanted
we've
to.
probably got at least
You
a
can have a
handful,
Waldo
right?
bring you one if you want.
Haven't you seen Angels and Demons where you take a cold battery or a battery put in cold weather and it just degrades very quickly?
I would like to try to power some of this up.
Yeah.
I'm
See if
going
we
to
can
make
get any
a
records.
programming check. So all the data in this thing is gone, but there is something stuck in the buffer, in the RAM. Can you recover it? A 10. All right. So what happens is the last thing this thing was doing activates. And you hear a voice at several points while this person is talking. It should be noted that on Twitch, I can't say homophobic words or slur words. Just assume that at the end of every sentence, such words are included. Okay, recording on. Activate transcription services. Get this out to Carlos afterwards. We really need to lock it down here. Okay? Upcoming meeting, I want to make sure that we go in hard. All right, let's start with something really spiritual. What do we do here? Someone's going to say something, and I'm going to be like, no, you're wrong. That's stupid. Here's what we do here. We eliminate people's minds. We destroy their preconceived notions, and we insert our own narrative. Okay? That's good. I like how this is going. All right. The mandate pays us to make them mandate. The people out here are stupid. They've run away from the mandate, but we can change their minds. With enough time, anybody's mind can be changed. Let's drill down on that group. Carlos, I don't know. If I refer to the other members of the ship as group, is that slang enough? Just alter it if it's not. Hold on. I gotta get a drink. Okay, continuing onward. Our job is to go into people's minds and to insert new preconceptions. We are doing that with the media. And you know what? That is what we do. I want to get out there. I want to be throwing the latest cutting edge. All right? I have to say, this crew did an amazing job with the AI chatbots. All right? We got the word out there on social media. We have half of the population arguing against the other half, and they don't know that like 13 AI are responsible for 90% of content out there. All right? People have taken sides on issues they've never cared about because we made them. And the whole time, they don't realize that both sides are being sold mandate propaganda. We are a virus that is infecting the local area. And you know what? Fuck these people. They're backwoods hicks who ran from the mandate. But we are going to make them a new Garden of Eden. That is the job of this ship. All right? Now, someone go out there and get that fucking bitch on this goddamn ship. Okay? I am tired of Grace Vantis flitting around doing whatever the fuck she wants out of here. I don't care if she's in drug therapy, taking her family on a vacation or some shit. She needs to be on this fucking ship. Carlos, I'm not going to be screaming like that when I do the speech, so don't include any emphasis for me on the prompter, okay? Don't worry. What was that noise? What the fuck do you mean? And then you hear like a noise. He goes, "Ah, oh, what the fuck? What do you mean we just lost power? Oh!" And the recording stops.
Quentin does immediately like chime in Van-Vee and relate the story, say grace, like, you know.
Wait, you did what? And they said what? I'm sorry, who? What did you find? Who said grace? Like, you getting 1,000, like he stops dead in his tracks. And it's just like, who?
Minerva says, stand by 1 second. And
He starts
we'll just
pacing in a
like
circle.
we'll just like take everything that was just heard and text it, and then just like send a document to Van-Vee's
You're
pad.
doing Carlos's job. You've transcribed the document successfully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like a long pause, and Van-Vee just kind of he's thinking. I don't know if he'd say this back, but he's like, so the first mention I ever hear of my mom's name is someone calling her a fucking bitch who's gone rogue. He's just trying to figure out rogue from what? What is she? Minerva,
I mean, that recording's like, how old? Do we know how old that is?
This recording right here?
Yeah.
Yes, you do know how old it is. Hold on a second. I mean, so the practical immediate answer is it would not surprise you to hear that this recording was made on the day of the scream.
Right.
I'm trying to find out what year that was on, but it's August 2nd
years ago,
at 11 a.m. Yeah, on the day of the scream. I can get you the exact year if you want, if that matters to you, but
no.
But for relevance now, it was the day of the scream.
Yeah.
According to this timestamp that's on the file, the scream happened while this recording was being recorded.
Wow. But the point of this ship was, does that match up, MINERVA? Like all this drive space, everything they were storing, this extra hard plating on the outside, it seems like it was just supposed to be converting people back to mandate. I'm confused.
Aside from any other possibly extraneous information, the most direct answer is if you could imagine you were living on a colony and somebody came by and started exercising some effort to change your culture and your way of thinking, there's a potential chance for a violent reaction to that. I know there were a number of decisions that were made by the mandate that were not popular in some outer places. I also know, or believe I know, that the mandate's resources out in some of the further colonies were a lot more limited. It was a much more dangerous place to be. That's a reason why I chose to be out there.
So, and is that what this person meant by taking her family on a vacation? That she was trying to get me away? Maybe not me, but maybe me. I don't know. Get us away from there.
I don't have enough information to give you anything useful for that.
Yeah, I think you're hearing Van-Vee spitball. I'm like, wait, that almost makes it sound like her and y'all might have been aligned to trying to get away from what was going on, but that doesn't sound right. I need to know more.
I will
see what we can see on the rest of the ship.
If there's any other records, we'll keep them.
Keep digging, keep looking. We got to make sure we can preserve every ounce of data that we can find here. There's answers of some kind anyway.
I will reaffirm, you told me before that we would try to find a way to do a limited startup to see if there's an intelligence or a VI for me to interface with to assess the danger.
Yeah, I think
I will do that for you.
Before you guys had sent this radio, he was basically going to go to engineering, plug in the B cell, and just turn everything on.
You're right outside engineering right now.
Now he's kind of like, MINERVA, I'm going to need your help to figure out what is safe to power on. Essentially, I just want to turn on the communication brains, but nothing else. Like, I just want to have a conversation with perhaps some other VIs or AIs or whatever's on this ship. That's all. I think you know what I'm trying to get at.
I do. Captain, would you prefer I wait for a Waldo to join us here before I head that way, or do you mind if the Waldo heads towards you while I go down to engineering?
Nah, it's all right, MINERVA. Yeah, you can head out, and I'll keep you posted if I change location. And Quentin will keep poking around. He's going to keep looking, see what else is next on the list. Whatever would be closest to the captain's quarters is where he's going to head next.
The bridge.
He'll head there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of Van-Vee's Waldos will turn and start walking to get to the captain, and I'm going to leave the captain and head towards engineering.
Well, then by process of elimination, we continue to follow the captain because it's going to take you a while to get to the back of the ship. Quentin, you climb back sideways through the tunnel and head forward in the ship to the bridge, which is directly beneath the captain's room. All of the chairs in here seem extremely comfortable. It's also clear that almost all the screens here have been blown out. It looks like there was some sort of extreme electronic event.
He's connecting that to the scream, like what he kind of knows about.
I mean, it's not necessarily about the scream. I think that the axe to the power system, taking half the power
surge,
probably
that makes sense.
Cause some problems. I mean, you tell me what you're looking for in here. It's a very Star Trek, The Next Generation style bridge with like but it's a higher captain area and then a lower crew pit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's more like a reverse Enterprise. Actually, it's like the Darth Vader looking down into the pit of the Imperials, but it still has that floor layout of semicircular with, you know, people at consoles sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. He'll look around just to see if there's anything that indicates maybe usage or, you know, intention. Are there remains still here in this bridge? All of the
consoles seem modular.
Okay.
Like a station could be changed to fit whatever use you needed from it. There are remains. There are at least 3 bodies. And it should be noted there was a body in the captain's quarter as well.
Oh, okay.
There are 3
he would mark
bodies.
Those and, you know, take photos, check whatever, you know, cursory things there to check. I
think some of the wall paneling here is damaged, and you can see like part of the ship's hull, which is like it doesn't look like any ship's hull you've seen. It seems to be really densely tied into an electronic system.
Can Quentin start to dismantle that panel a little bit and see if there's anything he can see closer look? Or
I will point out that
sending some schematics, or
you mean the interior panel, not the exterior panel, right? You don't want to poke a hole in the ship.
No. Yeah.
I mean, the interior
see this
panel,
electronic structure that like the way it's integrating that you
you're looking at that. Sure. Let's make a fix roll.
Okay. Intelligence.
Yeah, and it's at a -2 because you don't know pre-tech.
Oh. Okay.
I mean, we'll just take it out of the roll. You may not know pre-tech. Oh, sorry. Was that with the -2 or no?
That was without it. Yeah.
Okay. So at a 6, this panel that you're removing has pre-tech built into it. It's thin, but it seems to have some sort of like active impact resistance that has activated. It has incredibly dense quantum fiber built into it, so like it can quickly transmit data all throughout the ship. It also, each of the panels in here looks like they're all their own wireless server. Just backup on backup on backup. This particular panel, because it was located so close to the ship's outer hull, looks like it acts as a thermal buffer. It pulls heat from outside the ship into the ship. And specifically, it looks like it transmits it somewhere through the inner skin of the ship.
Okay.
It acts as a thermal conduit.
Interesting. Quentin would send that info to, you know, the other folks. And is there anything he can do to sort of map what that conduit might be being sent
Looks
to?
like it goes to the back of the ship, so engineering and engines. Yeah. MINERVA, Van-Vee. You meet up with some Waldos outside the engineering with Van-Vee holding a battery.
And a bunch of cable and conduit in his other hand.
Sure.
I'm ready to help.
Well, whenever I'll be honest, before you guys sent that transmission, I was ready to power this whole thing up for just a few moments just to learn more about it. But I think it was kind of right for what you called that, to recall what we agreed upon. And how do I turn on, say, communications just to talk to the ship without giving it really any power? I mean, do we even know how to do that? I mean, it looks like all these cables being cut, one of them's got to be communications or something similar, right? I just don't want to enable too much.
Could we? I guess the first question is: does it look like there's something in this fusion plant room that I could interface with? If it was powered.
It's not. I mean, the fusion plant is like a card table sized device bolted into the floor in the middle of the engineering bay. You can attach yourself to it. There's plenty of consoles and machinery in this engineering bay you could also attach yourself to.
Okay.
Just R2D2 in.
Yeah, I guess we'd be looking to see how we could try to wire up powering up some of these panels, maybe.
So the fusion drive needs fuel and energy to get started. Like, it needs a shot of hydrogen to get going, and it needs power, external power to stabilize it. You could borrow both from your own ship.
So it needs more than the B cell then.
I mean, the B cell is the power. It will need like a canister of gas from your ship in order to get started. And once it's got that, it'll be self-sustaining. That'll only take a minute or two to get to if you want to have that.
Ask Roger to go get that.
Yeah, you're not sure where the cables coming out of this thing lead to. Like what each one of these thick, like arm-sized cables are. There are 6 of them. 3 of them have been cut by the axe, which is still stuck into the floor, which is now the wall.
I think
is there like a breaker box on this thing that we can just?
I mean, this is the breaker box.
I mean, not the axe as a breaker box, but like, is there an actual intended one?
You can pull the cords out of the fusion reactor.
Okay, so it is notable then that somebody could have just walked up and basically unplugged this, but they instead chose an axe.
Yes, I mean, unplugging it takes some time. You know what I mean?
Okay.
These cords are not meant to be removed very quickly. You know, there's a procedure. It would take several seconds. The axe is worrying. It does mean that someone wanted to stop something very fast.
Okay. And it didn't cut through all of them. It cut through 3 of them?
Cut through half of them.
Okay.
3.
I would like to unplug the other 3.
Okay.
And I want to verify that the cut through the damaged 3 is that they're totally severed.
Totally severed.
Complete isolation.
Yeah. I suppose the first thing to try to do, Van-Vee, is to see if we can get this started.
You know, I'm just thinking here now, based off that recording you guys just shared. If the ship went down and that recording happened during the scream, what is it that is so worth either protecting or isolating that you would chop your own ship up and cut its power with an axe? Like, what? I'm just, like, don't get me wrong, I want to learn a lot about my family, and I do want to keep moving forward, but you know, are there other precautions we need to take here? Like, what is it we're about to tap into that was so important someone took an axe to cables to isolate during the event of the scream, right? I mean, that seems like a pretty big deal, don't you think?
Yes. I would also point out that I don't know the manner in which they died during the scream. I didn't have a navigator. Is it possible that their brains fried and they dropped dead? Did they experience a heavy burnout and go insane? I don't know. There's a lot that we don't understand. That's why I wanted to do the isolation testing for power, to make sure we don't turn on too much at once and lose control of the situation.
So I guess we've got these 6 cables. 3 of them are cut. 3 of them we just unplugged or in the middle of unplugging. How exactly do we know where each one goes without trial and error? I mean,
my first plan was to make sure we could get this generator running and then to test one at a time. It takes the least amount of time to disengage if we connect something that we need to power down in a hurry.
You know, whenever I think I'm rubbing off on you, the MINERVA I met day one would never go with trial and error. I like this approach.
Well, I have been trying to learn.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Looks like Roger's back with the fuel. We got this B cell. Why don't you pick? You pick which one of the 6 we want to do first.
Okay. And I'll connect one of the 3 cables, and we'll try to start the generator.
While they're working on that, Quentin would have started to migrate from the bridge, probably towards the weapons bay, or
Interesting.
Yeah.
We will get to that in a second. As you bring the fusion engine online, Van-Vee, you are contacted via the link. This device reports itself as a Serdelica Point Gen 1.2V fusion engine. Serdelica Point, a member of the Echelon family. It is interrogating you, ensuring that you are a member of this crew. When it finds out that you're not, it is determined that you are a guest. And it gives you its interface schematics. So like the 6 points of contact, you know where those pieces of power go, like which one goes where.
And does it tell me not only which one goes where, but where they run to? Like
yes,
the function of each?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hold on here. Whenever I'm getting something. It looks like I now know the layout of this fusion core and its contact points.
So one of the 6 things, you just get classified. As you're not a registered member of this crew, it will not tell you what the 5th cord goes to. And I think at that point, we cut back over to Quentin, who's arriving outside the weapons bay.
Let's plug that one in first now.
The weapons bay.
You want me to roll to see which of those 3 cables I plugged in?
It doesn't say weapons on the door. The floor runner says weapons, but when you arrive, it says cultural warfare room.
Oh, interesting. Is there any way to look into the room? Is there?
You pop the door open. When you look inside, through most of the ship, you're pretty sure that, power blew out, information was lost. This room contains file cabinets filled with paper and electronic media that seems like it might be compatible with your modern primitive systems. In this room, there is something that you would recognize as like a holographic interface, just a pylon in the middle of the room that, people would walk around and a computer interface would appear. But there's also essentially like DVDs, USBs, highly advanced pre-tech, like computer pads, all like hundreds of them in this room. You can see that the official cast recording original platinum master for extra is in here. Sunblades, the entire first season is in here. Pretty much everything you've seen posters of on this ship is in here. But also there's much more sinister stuff like Alamedes, like January to March 2661, like government monitoring. There's something in here about like Shivata system, mandate commander, loyalty report. There are binders that appear to be devoted to individuals who lived in this time frame. You have no reference for like who these people are, but they appear to be world leaders or people of influence. And it is the the ship crew's collective thoughts on how to convert this person into a handled mandate asset. It goes through truly disturbing levels of like breaking down not only their entire life, but like in the way that we can identify people nowadays through gate walking. This is like every choice that they've ever made in a predictive algorithm mathematically. Like they're working with extremely high level statistics, psychology, and psychic inference in order to determine how a person would act, and then how they can get the person to act the way that they want to. It's how to basically bend the path that they're walking until it matches what they want. This room is actually like, some of it's like, hey, I'm going to be rich selling half of the stuff in here, and the other half of the stuff in here is truly frightening, cultural warfare.
Yeah. There's applications of like precognitive sort of ability and other things in here that are, to many degrees, somewhat frightening to Quentin.
It's not even precognitive. They've just straight up telepath these people. They have people near them who are telepaths,
flat out controlling them.
Yeah.
That's like completely abhorrent to Quentin in many ways. Like he's trying to process all of that. There's so much. He one thing that he will do is if there's like any sort of organization and there's paper and other things in here, he will be struck by the thought of looking for Jace Bronwyn or Astopel or like anything referencing him.
Jace Bronwyn is a target of interest here. Looking over his file on Lamatriad system, Astopel, it is marked that he is incredibly resistive, and that his transhumanistic experiments have made him a poor target for this type of warfare. That he is functionally immune as long as he hides in his shell.
Shell, is that like specific term, like noun based almost, like
capital letter shell?
I mean, I think that you've previously assumed he was an AI, but this document implies
transhuman implies
he's
elsewhere.
Human. He's definitely was human at some point.
Right.
I think that you could kind of start making inferences based on some things you've seen him working on from Jace's workshop, that he may make the organic version of Minerva's chassis, and that he's just making, a new, fresh clone of himself, put himself in.
Right.
So he's not an AI, but he certainly has hundreds of years of experience. However, he is marked as a person of interest. This ship the crew doesn't feel like they are authorized to handle him because he is also marked as a nihilist, and his file is like, every time some crew members like, you know what, I think we can crack him, the captain's like, no, we have to refer him back to the perimeter agency. That this is their problem now. He turned himself into a tool. This is their bailiwick.
Quentin follows that thread next too, though. Is there anything else on the perimeter agency? What does he find?
These guys hate the perimeter agency. Perimeter agency keeps like, you're like looking through files that have the same red marks as Jace's, and you're like, the perimeter agency are a scalpel that's used to bludgeon people, and these guys are a precision psychic instrument meant to stealthily hang out above the atmosphere of a planet, completely invisible, learn everything about its inhabitants, and then become a mind virus to infect them with pro-mandate propaganda. They think of the perimeter agency as cavemen compared to their immense genius. They are an orchestra, and The perimeter agency is a punk rock band.
Yeah, the implications are
that's
like
probably a
overwhelming to
quote
Quentin.
that you get from someone's file. Just shit
Yeah.
talking the perimeter agency.
It's the captain. It's a quote from the captain, right? Like he's of
Doesn't
this
have
ship
enough
person.
homophobic slurs for it to be
Yeah,
the
that's
captain.
fair.
But sure.
God damn. Yeah, I mean, this is like Quentin is getting lost in this. He is going through the weeds at this point.
And
He's just like following any thread.
This is just the written stuff you're finding in binders that have been printed out.
Because he is fully drawn to the paper files first, right? Entirely, because that's what he knows. That's what he thinks is the most valuable, right? They thought this needed to be permanently recorded in some way outside of electronics, right? Like to him, that's the most valuable as a lead.
I think that you start to get the feeling that some specific crew members like reading physical material more, like people who like hardcover books, essentially.
Okay.
And they printed their work out. So you're not even getting a fraction of what the ship's capable of. You're just getting their casual reading material in their secret brain science lab. Let's go back to Van-Vee and MINERVA. What do you guys want to do with this fusion engine?
Well, I now know the 6 different cables, right? Can I know which one Minerva's holding that she was going to plug in first?
So it is engine power, spike drive backup power, main ship power, which was those 3 were the ones that were cut, and then it's prism, which you don't. It seems like it's an acronym, but you don't know what that is. Reserve power and classified.
Classified. I'd be relaying this to Minerva. Minerva, it strikes me that whoever cut through this, I wonder if they targeted these 3 on purpose just to basically take out the engines and stop the main ship from operating and from flying anymore. But they left a reserve power in place, hopefully not trying to take out the crew, but I'm not sure that was successful because, I mean, look at it. But
if I were to have these cables as options with the knowledge I have, and I wish to ensure the ship would crash, I would start with propulsion and main power. And we know that there were multiple people in here. This might not have been an intentional reservation of reserve power. It may be the individual was stopped before they could finish chopping through all 6.
I mean, that's possible. I guess. Why don't we just unplug all 6 and then I'll repair the 3 that were damaged and we'll go from there.
Sorry, from my understanding, all 6 are already.
They are
unplugged.
already disconnected.
Yes.
Okay, so they're unplugged and broken. 3 of them.
They're all unplugged.
All unplugged.
There are 6 unplugged cables, and 3 of them are damaged.
Okay, I thought we only unplugged 3 and the other 3 were broken.
Yes.
No, I unplugged them all.
Okay.
I mean, the 3 broken ones, right? They're not going anywhere. They're functionally unplugged anyway.
Broken.
We could connect the reserve power to see if we can get computer access.
You know, that's what I was thinking. Reserve power, I imagine, doesn't do anything like over the top. Might just be, like life support, general communication skills.
I mean, depending on the priorities of the crew and the design of the ship, I would expect that this would just provide a low power operating status for systems that they deemed critical, which would substitute some of main power, may include some propulsion, although given the location of the ship, it would take more than some propulsion to get it out, and life support and possibly computer access.
Well, all right then. Reserve power is this one right here.
All right,
And
I
he's
guess
like,
we will connect reserve power.
Eagerly awaiting for you to plug it in.
I'm also going to have the Waldos sort of stand in a little bit of a gaggle. Or I guess there's only one Waldo here right now. The other one's with the captain. The one Waldo is going to stand to block Van-Vee from the axe.
Okay. You're plugging reserve power in?
Yep.
You should know by now I can't swing it down even if I wanted to.
Yeah, but that's one less weapon.
You're aware immediately, Van-Vee, that the link is active, but nothing is being sent to you. There's just this, I don't want to say oppressive, but it's like, it's actually not even oppressive. It's kind of the opposite. It's like a warm, sheltering feeling around you, knowing that the ship is active around you. It just doesn't have anything to say to you yet. It's powering up and waiting.
Does it look like some of the consoles and engineering are lighting up? Okay.
Does anything happen in the room that Quentin's in?
Nope.
MRNS Edith Skinner, you there?
It takes a little while, and then you get an answer that says, it's a different tone of voice that says, link active.
Hey, link active. That's good. That's good. Do you know who I am?
Yes, status. Dr. Y'all.
I'm sorry, what? Death status?
Yes status.
Oh, yes. I was like, that's a sharp turn.
Yeah, status. And that's when the poison gas starts coming in.
Yeah.
Dr. Y'all Vantis.
Sure, we'll go with that. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
BIOS operations.
All right. Can you tell me a bit about the purpose of the ship?
Main computer not found.
Minerva, I feel like we turned on the computer but didn't give it access to anything. It doesn't quite know. It can't access anything. It's there.
It sends you the ship's diagnostic. The electrical system is like any computer that was on board here is basically toast. This thing won't fly again without a significant refit.
I'll relay all that.
But that's only, this is only with the reserve power line installed.
Right.
I would like to try to interface.
Okay. Are you plugging yourself into the fusion reactor, or are you trying to plug yourself into some console on the ship in the engineering bay?
I want to try with a console first, something that looks like a maintenance console.
Okay. You connect. Immediately, you're greeted by the fact that the ship does not have a operating system. It is simply waiting for an operating system to be found after a boot up sequence. It doesn't have a boot drive.
Okay.
I freaking hate that error when you build a computer. That's like the most frustrating thing.
Unfortunately, either the data storage on the ship is not functional, or we need to connect a cable that will power it up. It doesn't have access to any of its programs.
We connected auxiliary power, backup power.
Well,
That isn't necessarily surprising. Mandate ships had VIs for assistance, but they were crude.
Are there any databanks that are accessible? Is there anything, open ports otherwise that you can see?
All I have is BIOS, right? Can I see like devices that are connected but not giving data?
Hardware.
There is a classified system. I feel like you can just bat that aside, right? You have the break into systems ability.
Yeah, I can commit a point to just automatically succeed at hacking something.
Yes. Okay, with that, you get everything. The ship's prism system is partially intact. Mostly the part of the ship that collided with the ground. It seems that the paneling there is broken, but otherwise, Prism is reporting that if it had power to it, it believes it could turn on. The cultural warfare room, aka the weapons bay, seems to be reporting diagnostically that it believes it could turn on. Medical is toast. Engineering is mostly toast. The captain's quarters, toast. And the media and recording rooms seem like they are having diagnostic problems. The diagnostic, like, subroutines in those rooms are just reporting back that they're having trouble booting. And they just keep cycling over and over again.
Did we establish what Prism is?
No.
Not yet. I want to make sure I got my notes. So Prism, some panels were damaged in the crash, but Prism could be turned on. Medical is toast. Engineering is mostly toast. The captain's room is toast. The media room and the recording room?
Yes. Are having a failure to communicate
To
diagnostic
diagnose.
status.
And the last one was the weapons.
Cultural warfare room.
Yeah,
Weapons.
which is where Quentin is right now.
It believes it could
Cultural
turn
warfare.
on if it had power flowing to it.
As Quentin was finding things in that room, he was reporting it to everyone as well. Just
Okay. So what's the classified system?
That's cultural warfare room.
Okay.
is there anything in the room that Quentin's in that may have mentioned Prism? That if Minerva
No.
or Van-Vee mention it to him, that he would okay.
I mean, is there, so I could presume from the information about the diagnostic about damaged panels on the ship for the crash that the Prism system is somehow interacts with the hull of the ship or a system installed in the hull.
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable inference.
Okay.
You recall that the hull was somewhat difficult to scan through and basically gave you like a reading lie. It had trouble determining whether this was a frigate or a cruiser as well.
Mm-hmm.
It had trouble telling you what was going on inside. It incorrectly estimated how big the ship is.
Yeah. I'm thinking with the stuff that we heard from the captain in the cultural warfare room that this is probably some sort of EM and stealth suite for the ship.
The chameleon from pre
From Battletech
yeah.
or the Normandy's system. It's
There you go.
stealth heatsink.
Makes sense.
But it definitely seems like it's more than just a simple heatsink or information thing.
Right.
I mean, for it to have an acronym and be a completely separate system from the hull, it seems like there's something more to it than what you're seeing.
Yeah.
That'll be funny later. Don't worry about it.
Gwen will throw out there that P often stands for psionic in his minds.
Captain Van-Vee, I believe the classified system on the ship, or at least for everything else that's on the ship and accessible to the crew, the one thing that was considered to be classified even here was the cultural warfare room. I do believe that should we connect power cables up, or at least repair the main power, we could power up the cultural warfare room. Medical, we'd only be able to scrap supplies. The diagnostics don't look good there. Most of the systems and engineering here are also irrecoverably damaged. And the media and recording space, there seems to be some sort of, it seems to be entirely physically disconnected. It's not even aware enough to know that the systems there are connected to diagnose.
So just make sure I'm following whenever you're saying we could power on cultural warfare, but I mean, that doesn't sound like something we should do.
My concern is the only
powerful.
person on the ship that the ship seems to be, the intelligence seems to be willing to grant permissions to, is a guest. And that is specifically a classified system. If we powered it up, I anticipate we'd have very limited interaction.
Well,
I've broken the security codes for the ship. I could force things out of it if we power it up, but I don't know what it will do with unauthorized crew members on board.
that I can't help but
can
notice
certainly get out safely. We can get ourselves out safely if we have to in a relative moment's notice. But yeah, you're right. Definitely we should exercise a little bit of caution. You were saying, Van-Vee?
Well, I think you use the word intelligence of the ship, and I gotta say that sounds awfully gracious right now. I mean, after being around you for a while, compared to what this ship is communicating with me, man, it feels like it's only got a certain number of prompts that it can respond with, no matter what I ask. And maybe we haven't found the true core of the system yet, but I feel like I'm just working with like a tech response.
Well, there are many types of intelligences.
Well, you know what I'm saying. I was trying to pay you a compliment, damn it.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm just trying to see if I can find information you're looking for here.
You want me to head over to the media and communications room, see if I can take a look at what's causing that diagnostic issue? Otherwise, I don't know. I'm inclined to investigate this. PsyOps room we're in right now.
I want to learn more about any records on Grace Vantis.
I mean, from what you've described, it seems that
are there any paper records related to her?
That's a great question. I think yes.
Okay.
I think there are extensive records with different hypotheses of how to turn Grace Vantis into a agent and her continued attempts to resist. Quentin, I want to tell you that the personality profile that they have here for her is not flattering. They paint her as a complete psychopath. The telepaths who read her aren't certain that she has emotions in the way most people understand them. That her sole purpose in life appears to be to dominate everyone around her and make them do what she wants in the way that she believes. It's like someone who sets up Rube Goldberg machines made of people. Wow. Her work as an actress seems to routinely involve her taking over production and essentially becoming the new director while also being the lead actress. And because she's so good, she can basically demand any role that she wants. Her ability to manipulate people is so off the charts that the crew appears to have been attempting to pattern an AI after her so that they could use it instead of her, and the AIs that they create out of it aren't stable. They try to break their own minds and go rampage. The people on this ship believe that she is an extremely dangerous and violent individual, and they are also very impressed with her.
Are there any records of, like, you said that they tried to make AIs of it. Are there any records of like what did they succeed more recently? Is there any?
No, they absolutely did not succeed. Like several of the AIs committed suicide rather than attempt to exist.
Okay. I was really waiting for MINERVA.
Interesting. But force of personality wise, this person is next level.
Do they make it? Is it called out what she is? Like, is she human?
She's human.
Not psionic, just like
not psionic.
Just a normal, everyday human.
She's a
with
mandate
ambitions.
citizen. That's according to this. She has a pretty extreme cocktail of drug addictions that go hand in hand with her actress work. And she has arrived in sector in order to, out of the mandate's public eye, go to a little shitty backwater, get some rehab, get cleared by a doctor, and then get back to her work. And the people here wanted her to work for them, and they've been monitoring her closely, and she does not want to work with this ship or the mission of this particular group.
She was on this planet specifically for that, or
no? Okay. Her last recorded existence was on the planet Scarfy in 0700.
Okay.
And this is all dated like Day of Scream.
I mean, they've been monitoring for her for like the last 6 months, up to the day of the scream.
I mean, given what happened to the ship, I think it's fair to say there are no records after the scream.
That seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure what this prism system is. It's integrated into the hull. It may be part of a stealth suite. It may also be a defense system for the ship. I could power it and activate it. But I don't know what it would do exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds incredibly expensive and valuable.
I mean, from what I've seen of the sector, most of the things on this ship would be incredibly expensive and valuable.
Quite true.
I guess taking a step back now, knowing what we now know about this ship, what do we think about our contract?
We owe them a fusion reactor, and we owe them a, what was the other thing off
Spike
this?
drive.
Spike drive.
10% of the value of whatever you salvage is returned to you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you pull parts of the ship off, they get 90% and you get 10%.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Fish, has she woken up?
I mean, you can wake her up if you want to.
Mm-hmm. I mean, basically, the only conversation that Quentin would have want to have had about the ship they're going to salvage is essentially that they're aware of like KainDamael's claim on Palamedes, and essentially asking her if that's a thing that the people on planet are generally aware of.
Okay, so I feel like you get a very tired Dr. Fish over radio who's just like, yeah, I don't really follow non-local politics. I actually don't really follow local politics. I've never heard of KainDamael before. Is that in the same system? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's basically down the road.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a little different for someone with a ship.
That's fair.
For me, down the road was the factory.
Main reason I ask is mostly because they're the ones who sent us here. We're here for the ship, and they're claiming salvage right over the thing. I just had the thought that y'all know that that's the case, right?
I don't even know where we are right now. Could I go outside?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Quentin would explain like where they are in the mountains on the planet.
Negative bazillion degrees outside.
I would not tell her to go outside. Yes.
She's just like, no one comes up here. I don't know anything about a ship here.
Okay.
I do remember a bit ago, there were some outsiders in town with a shuttle that were picking up some climbing supplies.
Yeah.
But we just assumed that they were climbing Mount Zeus.
That's fair. Yeah. That's a reminder of a sort. And that is maybe next on the short list of things to investigate. Check out what that other expedition might have, how they ended and what they knew.
I told you there'd be some things you forgot.
Yeah. One or two. But the main crux of that question.
I didn't forget that MINERVA didn't care.
Yeah.
Van-Vee didn't care.
I didn't forget either, but it wasn't like the main thing. The main crux of the conversation from Quentin's perspective is just trying to tease out. Is like, is this actually like an official thing? Like KainDamael has said that they've like laid claim, they've sent a representative, etc. Did that actually happen? Is that claim valid?
She has no idea.
And she has no idea, of course. So we'd have to escalate this. But because I'm remembering the conversation with the Exchange of Light representative who essentially did stress that this contract is only valid if that claim is itself valid.
Yeah, messages were sent. End of sentence.
So that's a thing for maybe us to consider is
I love how basically every job you get, you immediately get halfway in and then figure out how you can get out of the contract.
no one's trying to get out of the contract.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make sure that we can't
like
get more money.
Just trying to get out of the contract.
Well,
Is the contract valid? No, but
I mean,
We salvaged something called the Prism that gives like cloaking technology, and we only get 10% of it. That's bullshit.
that's just crazy. Yeah.
well,
I thought they
that-
only wanted the two things and that the rest would. But yeah, no, I mean it makes sense.
The
10%.
contract stipulates that you get 10% of the rest of the value of whatever you salvage.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we don't salvage it, finish the job, then we come back later and salvage the rest of it.
That would
That's
be a
different.
breach of contract.
Yeah.
well, my concern, Captain, is it sounds like from what you were finding in the cultural warfare room, and given the nature of the ship and the technology and materials in its construction, the group in orbit would get a significant advantage from their current position. Not necessarily from this fusion plant, although, and I look over at the spike drive, is there a role I can make to try to identify the rating of the spike drive?
It is a spike drive 1.
Okay. I mean, aside from the power plant and the backup spike drive, those would just be essential to get that in a particular ship in some kind of fighting shape. It does need more power to activate its larger weapon systems, and it does need a spike drive to be able to leave. But the rest of the ship is significant.
Yeah.
Even if
Agreed.
this prism system is just a defensive system or a stealth system, that's a massive advantage. In addition to what looks like the contents of the cultural warfare room. It's an instruction manual.
If I remember
for
correctly,
expanding.
the data was somewhat up for grabs, so we could certainly consider the data, in the cultural warfare room and anything we find here ours. If I recall the terms of the contract correctly.
I think they wanted any data we could get.
They said that they would take it, but I don't believe it was stipulated that it was theirs, if I'm remembering the terms explicitly.
I feel like that's something you could negotiate at on your way out the door.
Mm-hmm.
And we keep a copy of everything we found.
No, but like, not a copy. I vaguely recall in the negotiation that the data was specified as to not specifically belong to them, but I would have to double check. Either
Just have
way,
to rewatch the episode and report
I know,
back.
right?
I even wrote down 20% for us instead of 10%. So I'm like,
That's true.
shoot,
It is, you're right. Actually, I forgot because that was the double numbers.
Yeah.
I have the original. So these are the original that I put up for the audience to vote on, and the ones that won get double. So yes, you do get 20% of the value of the ship.
Look, what I can say from what KainDamael can do from this thing, all I know is that they can barely get the ship that they have to be limping along as it is. They need us to get down here and do this piece. They're not going to be able to make use of something as advanced as Prism itself. Like, it just seems, that their plan would be to pass this thing along to somebody else for, selling it to further down the line. I don't know what the best thing to do. We could certainly, at the very least, if we want to fulfill the contract, take the fusion engine, take the spike drive, get the data off that we think is valuable to us, and then scuttle this thing, bury it.
That could
That's
be
an option.
considered a breach of your contract.
Well, if we want, no, all right.
no one knows.
Listen, there are words called good faith negotiations.
That is true.
Attempting to destroy this ship and leaving salvage behind, or either of those two options is bad faith.
Well,
Now, who knows? Nobody knows. Just you guys.
we've got some options.
Van-Vee,
Good
can
thing there
you
aren't like
fix
telepaths or anything.
Can you fix
Talent option.
these
Have any of those,
these
right?
cables at all?
Yeah, I have brought spares from our ship to make these repairs.
You have spares. You want to plug something else in?
Do it.
I'd like the option. Do we want to, from here, even if we restore main power, I would need to turn on these other systems? Or I could at least stop them from turning on their own?
Hard to say.
I repair all three.
You have extremely limited BIOS level access. It does seem like these systems are hardwired in, so I think if you connect the cables, probably they will turn on automatically.
So we start with the main ship. That's probably going to turn on a whole bunch of lights.
In
You're
our
plugging
power
in
cables.
main power?
We have a specifically different cable for Prism and for the cultural warfare room.
Correct?
Yeah, I gotta be honest, I don't want to turn on that cultural warfare room for fear of what we might find. I think the more we know in that case, the more guilty we feel about no matter what we do.
Prism, cultural warfare, which was the classified cable, main power, propulsion, the backup power that we did connect.
We hit that main power next and see what happens, right?
What was the sixth one again?
Cultural warfare room is 6. Engine, spike drive, main, Prism,
engine.
reserve.
You didn't have engine. Or is that what you're calling propulsion?
Oh, so it's the
Spike drive and
engine
Spike
and
drive
spike drive are
and
separate.
engine block are 2 different things.
Okay, that's what I missed.
But that's true on your ship as well. The spike drive and the engine are 2 different things.
All right, we have backup power on. Yeah, I mean, if we don't connect Prism or cultural warfare, we should expect that those will remain no function. There's no reason to turn on the engine block. There's no reason to turn on the spike drive. Maybe we can see what's surviving computer cores and software becomes accessible with main power.
You're turning main power on and you're leaving reserve power plugged in.
Leave
They seem a little odd. Let's do it.
You plug the cable into the wall, and then you plug the other end into the fusion engine. And that's where we're going to end the episode.
And it explodes.
Smoke starts coming out of Van-Vee's ears. It says, "Intruder alert! Intruder alert!"
I mean,
Link hyper activated.
I mean, I'm definitely the guy that rolls dice that means nothing or asks questions that mean nothing. I remember when we showed up here, both of those cables were plugged in. So it is at least designed to operate with both of those as options.
True.
Post-credit scene. We hear a sound like pew 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 pew. And then we see a man wearing a red suit with geometric like white slashes across it. He like jumps in front of someone and does like a really fake martial arts pose. He's got this weird collar on and he goes, "Sanus Red arriving on the scene. Yeah, yeah." And then someone else is like, "Huh, Sanus Blue. You think you can get ahead of me, Red? I'm your rival." And then someone like drops out of the sky in the Y formation and T poses and goes, "Sanus Yellow, breezing onto the scene." And you know, the other two introduce themselves, and we could see in the background there's like this really fake large Godzilla monster just like attacking a town. Pew, pew, pew. The buildings are made of cardboard, and you know, it's like CGI guy, and then like it does a blast and the cardboard just you could tell that there's like this weird mix of like CGI and Lucasfilm actual effects going on, but it's all meant to look super fake. The 5 of them all have their blades, and they put it so the 5 blades all become a semicircle, and they go by our 5 Sanus combined, Sunblade! And like a giant robot is summoned from the sky made of their 5 colors. And they go and they begin battling the monster. And Red's like, we can't defeat him without using our Sanus powers. And they all touch their collars at the same time. And they all go, bee wee 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 wee. They all physically make the bee wee 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 noise. And the monster goes, ah, ah, and then he explodes from the inside out. And it's just like, some blades.
And then the little robot in the background goes, ay, ay, ay.
Okay, let's take a look here at experience points. Could get some weird stuff. The real question is, if McClay8 posts a comment satisfied with our level of savagery, I will grant another experience point at the beginning of our next episode.
I
McClay.
like of the 18, 15 steps, Van-Vee followed maybe 3.
Almost none of them.
Yeah.
You haven't secured the outer hull at all, so you failed the
We're
most
not in
basics.
space.
Yes, but if you're following the checklist is
The
part
ice
of your space.
secured the hull. I just feel
The ice secured the yes. That is one way to look at it. Yes, the ice did indeed secure the hull.
I basically got my little brain turned on, and I was like, nope, screw that. I've got my own agenda.
There's a part of me that's expecting we're going to turn these computer cores on, and they're going to be like, yes, you're a mandate citizen, and just zap you with some like, you should remove the unwanted guests on this vessel.
I am willing to give a full suite of experience points. Everyone accomplished their short and long range goals, or at least attempted them. So that's 3 XP for everyone. I'll leave it to you to determine what part of what you did accomplished some part of your goal.
Yeah.
Found out.
Minerva
Grace is a
doesn't feel like
psycho.
they achieved their short-term goal.
I would just say, what you need is money and resources, and you're inside a giant Fabergé egg.
Yes.
Even though most of this stuff is junk now, you could easily sell the dead parts of this ship to hyperboat racers back on Thord, who can turn it into things that they need. You know, you'll get pennies on the dollar, but it's still going to be a pretty substantial haul.
There's the pre-tech component thing, right? Which is just like kind of like a standard unit, right? Thing that we have to use for like modifications and stuff like that.
Real bad. I mean, the ship suffered a massive collision with the side of a planet. The electrical system appears to be completely toast, and all the electronics as a result are completely useless. But that quantum wiring, you know, pull it out, fix it up, and put it in something else.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know? Scrap, pennies on the dollar, but it's better than nothing, right? I'd say that's more than enough to get you 1 experience point towards multi-system organization.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I feel like we're going to have, once we're done investigating the ship, if we don't die in the process, I think we're going to have a pretty hefty conversation about what the disposition of the ship.
Why would you die? What could possibly harm you on this ship?
Believe in yourself.
This ship is the safest thing you've ever been on.
Oh, you know what? Let me revise it. If we finish
and 2
exploring the ship,
intruders.
and I'm not the only one left living in a ship with no body anymore.
Oh, Quentin's teleporting away? Yeah, Quentin's teleporting.
Sorry, Van-Vee.
Hey, I'm a guest. It probably isn't allowed to hurt me. That's a very logical conclusion, right?
This is
Guests swear out they're welcome.
secure military intelligence stealth operation, and you believe that your guest status will somehow protect you. I understand.
Oh, yeah. I expect a red
From the
carpet to be rolled out
spoovy
now that we
psyop
plugged in power.
I think it's incredible that you have really overstated how much this guest status. I need you to understand that you have guest status because your wife is being scouted by this organization. In the same way that they're like, we want her to come on this ship so that she'll feel comfortable and never leave, and we're going to have to bring her husband along. So we better pre-clear him.
Feels nice to have the organ actually working, or the gland, not organ.
Yeah.
The link.
Oh, maybe that's a thing for us to investigate. Can we install the link on the Goose? Can you talk to our computer this way?
I think the real question is, would
Minerva right?
Would she get jealous if I'm talking to something else instead?
So when you were getting information, were you getting like images in your mind, or was it just like you knew it, like you'd read a book? Okay.
It came in the form of conversations, text, just instructions wholesale uploaded. It's capable of a full mind-to-mind connection.
So you could hang out with Minerva in a way that we had to set up a VR thing for the captain to do.
Yeah, with our good friend Peter Mark Paul Davidson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Some people say he's the best NPC in this whole game.
I'm still going to Splicer.
A man you've had 2 conversations with.
What? I still think he was
It just seemed genuine.
Yeah. He had clear skills, and we could have used him.
Imagine if he'd been here and he could have used his bio.
He could have helped a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. Or any medical training by anyone at all at any time.
No.
This just means we have to keep hiring everyone we come across so they never leave.
That's a question. At what point does Minerva start to feel like she should learn how to heal people?
Yeah, we don't have. We're stocked now.
You are fully crewed.
I know.
At some point, Van-Vee's gonna be like, "So, if Dr. Fish is here, what did you promise my brother, Quentin?" We'll revisit that.
Yes, you're going to replace a medical director with a
punk,
a medic.
There you go. That's generous already.
He hasn't even started a training yet. It's not even been a month.
Yeah, I mean,
years.
By the time he finishes that, hopefully we'll have salvaged.
She'll be ready to retire.
And we won't have to worry about Minerva taking a room anymore, because Minerva plans to come out of the database when the ship is restored, unless something makes it happen earlier.
Wow. Anything else we want to cover before we sign off? This has been a really long episode. A lot happened.
Extra special. Just for you, McClay.
I'm really glad that I learned that was a VI. That I'd been like programming on the side in the back of my mind.
Built your own firewall, basically.
Or at least like it's at least comforting to Minerva to believe that, even if it's not true.
Would I lie to you?
Oh, absolutely.
It is a little scary to hear both claws coming at you full force for the first time. What happens if your little VI wasn't built in time, or if it fails?
I think
that's true.
Minerva didn't react to the double claw thing outright.
Guilt for Quentin.
Because that observation has further motivated Minerva to try to get the captain to help out with that wall.
You know,
because Minerva knows it can't do it itself. It needs help.
I haven't mentioned it, but those claws never stopped.
Oh,
yeah, we just got the second one now.
both of the, I mean, normally you get like it's a claw along the wall and it's testing and you feel some pressure there for a while.
It's a velociraptor.
This is a frantic attempt to get through the wall. Has been going on for hours now. Ever since you activated the self-protection VI. It's still ongoing at this very moment.
Minerva wants some help with it.
Terrifying.
Minerva knows it can't do it on its own.
You in trouble.
Minerva, it's one of those fun
Minerva's
like
about to kill
interactions
us all, is what's going.
I mean, we'll have a moment. You'll help out. You'll type in a key command, and then Minerva will just go by a totally different name.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Quentin. I can't do that.
Oh.
Damn it, Minerva, open the pod doors.
The terms of address for everyone change too. I'm sorry, Mr. Polk.
Wow, that would
Horrifying.
be terrifying. Mr. Polk. Oh, Jesus.
Quinn's just not there anymore.
It'd be actually a funny prank if you stop calling Van-Vee or Vandorn and you just start calling them y'all. That would really fuck with them.
It didn't come up, but I was considering while we were in the ship, since the ship thinks you're y'all, and not give the ship any indication you weren't, and just start calling you y'all in the ship. But I forgot to do it, so it didn't happen. But I thought about it.
Words I've never said before. I thought about it, but I forgot.
I just want to give a shout out to myself for that opening scene, reminding you all that you have engaged in interstellar espionage, secret operations, and you're about to have two stellar polities be really pissed off at each other because they've been consistently lying.
Which may or may not be the drug war that was referred to.
No, that's the he's talking about when like we had that whole agreement with Fiona, and they're like, well, okay, we're going to lie about a bunch of shit, and then they weren't the ones who inspected us,
right?
And they also lied out their asses
Skinner,
about it.
The drug guy who said that we started a drug war.
Yeah.
The only time we've really interacted, well,
I don't know what
we did go to a pirate station.
So I'm
and we rescue. The two things I'm thinking of is who did we repo that shuttle from, and the other one is we picked up that guy.
The Koto.
Openly used psionic powers in a neighborhood that was non-psionic while being followed by a massive Carlos Sinistra robot with his flag on it.
True.
You use those under his colors.
I did.
Which
also means he may or may not be really pissed about it. He might just not care.
Here's what interests me is that before the game, I had a newspaper made up, and I have news in every system, and none of you have ever stopped to check the news. So I know what's going on. I just don't bother telling you. And you've left a shitstorm in your wake behind you, and it's starting to catch up because you've stopped moving as quickly. And
so
the shitstorm you've left in your wake is about to blow right over you.
Never once considered it.
See, I just assumed when he said a drug war, he was referring to the dust. Like dust was a fancy form, like slang term for the dust.
No.
And I was like, I can see how we started a war because of that.
No, you started a war on Omura 9 over psionic powers. And you forced Carlitos Sinistra to come to your defense because he was acting as your guardian. So you have made him a target.
So I guess
he's going to have a favor or two to ask.
Yeah. Maybe he likes Prism.
Maybe.
Yes, the one thing you should definitely give to a drug lord is a complete stealth system. It will certainly make delivery very easy and no longer cheap.
Oh boy.
We're gonna have a whole conversation about all the stuff on this.
It feels like we have like 5 really big important levers in front of us, and none of them do anything that would actually benefit the system, but yet we still want to figure out which one to pull because not pulling one has never been an option.
Well, I mean,
feel like I've said you didn't pay to see those cards several times. Come on.
I mean, we've had plenty of options not to pull the lever. We could have gone on different jobs.
You
We could have,
finally,
or we could have asked any questions about the jobs before we took them.
Yeah, but if you go back and read the other 2 jobs we didn't take,
I feel like you finally got closure on Jace Bronwyn by asking questions.
yeah, that was good. That was nice.
He's not
nice
some
poke.
superpowered AI. He's just a normal guy who's lived hundreds of years in
Which
a
is
super
neat.
smart body.
Yeah. I enjoyed that.
I mean, I guess it would make sense that he built the armature.
Armatures.
Yeah. But it also like makes an explanation of what he's done for the Midapile folks, right? Like something similar to what he's done for himself, right? Like grew you a whole new body and threw you in it or whatever it happens to be, right?
So
Trains
even
you
if
in
I
some
had
reason.
stabbed him, he just would have had another clone ready.
No comment.
Possible.
It's possible. Maybe, maybe
A
not.
second Jace Bronwyn taps you on the
I
shoulder.
think our collective heal rolls means that we would never have any idea how accessible it would be for him to replace his body in any given time.
Is that
Really?
blood? Or is
I'll
that
tell you
hydraulic
what.
fluid?
It'll be like that scene from Age of Ultron where Ultron destroys one of the Ultrons and comes through it while it's on fire. He just rips it into pieces like, I'm still here.
Oh man,
It'll be that. Yep, Jace
There we
Bronwyn.
go.
You'll
just
go to kill
red
Jace.
mist
and he'll just-
himself.
yeah, he'll kill himself.
Oh my goodness.
I have no comment on how Jace Bronwyn operates. If you want to learn, go and shoot him in the face, I guess. Or ask him
Luckily-
nicely.
Luckily, that is something I can do without Vandorn interfering.
Oh, yes. I've been waiting to see how long it would take for you to trigger your other self.
I think the workaround to that is I just got to train up all my skills to at least be 1 or 2 so they become natural. And then Vandorn can't interfere.
I'm afraid that's no longer a possibility. It only applies to skills you had before the merger.
Previously.
Yep. Everything you do from now is something both of you know.
So far, he's contributed notice. He, it, she,
How about a
who knows
moral
what it is.
code and peace of mind, wholeness of spirit? No,
I do think
you
it's-
just notice, huh? Okay.
I do think it's funny how like
The whole plot,
the most
for
noticeable.
that whole side
Fire.
plot boiled down to I got a skill rank.
I got a
That was
skill.
cool.
And actually, it, you know what? Not only the skill, it gave me the Foki, Foci, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I forget what I was going to say.
I am likely to level up next session where I get to pick another focus.
Nice.
Interesting.
Is
are
is
you
one of
thinking
them
about?
heal?
I don't know. There's, a lot of
Doctor.
decent options at this point. Specialist is like the default if I can't think of anything else, right? Like, but which
I mean,
skill, of course.
There's lots of really cool ones.
There are.
You took the one to teach psionics, right?
Yeah, I've got Meta Psionics 3, so I can, and I picked up the,
I
All
can't
right,
wait for
let's
you to
me-
reveal that publicly.
teach
will
people. I
100%
mean,
Just
Curious
think
who
you
you're going
can
to teach.
what's that?
I'm curious who will, what
You will
character
100% get kidnapped.
will be the person that makes you say, you know what, I want to teach them something.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, Quentin can also identify people who can learn whether they know they can or not, like basically by just looking at them for a little while, if I remember correctly.
But will they be too old to begin their training?
No, no.
I don't think that's a thing.
No.
Yeah.
That's
I only
only
need a
true
week
if
to
you're
teach them how to not hurt
Sunblade!
themselves.
Sunblade powers activate.
I gotta
Oh,
find me
sorry.
a Sunblade. That's on the
Sanus
list.
powers activate. Yes,
Sanus
yes,
power?
yes.
Yeah.
It's this, you use your Sanus powers to activate your Sunblade. Yes.
Okay. Sanus.
Sanis. Yeah, don't worry about it. Sunblades are purely fictional, right? You learned about
Not
it
to
on a
Quentin.
ship about information control, so
Not to Quentin. He's been told by many strange, creepy beings that he should look for those.
yeah, be crazy for you to bring your mind up to the meta dimensions without a Sunblade to defend you. Yeah.
Who knew?
Who knew? I mean, the metadimensional beings knew.
Yeah.
It'd be great if these metadimensional beings heard your first call and they got together like, dude, you got to do the Sunblade thing.
Tell him Sanus powers.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I wonder what we could get him to do. He has no idea. We're like mystical.
Unreliable shadows.
I'm surprised you haven't activated your power in this ship to try to get some local ghost to tell you what's up. But
I definitely, it's on the list of things to do, but wanted to save it, you know.
all right.
That feels like something you would want to do on the bridge.
Yeah.
Dude
Somewhere.
in the captain's quarters, that guy seemed really well adjusted.
Yeah.
Communicative.
Do it right next to the guy with the axe.
I get one a day. All right. Got to choose wisely.
Hey, why'd you cut these cables?
You know what? I just also had a random thought. I've gone on this presumption that this prism system might be a stealth or defense system. What if it's a gigantic telepath amplifier?
That was my assumption, honestly, is that it is some sort of like
I thought it was related to the gates
device related to the actual like desire to control populations.
I like how all three of you came to a different conclusion. It's very interesting.
I mean, I had no idea what it would stand for, but I thought it would have to do with like the gate system to
The jump gates, yes.
Yeah.
No, there's a specific ship device for that.
I don't think so. I think the jump gates, you literally just drive through them like a Stargate.
You're thinking of the
Like
precognitive navigation chamber.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's for like battleships, though. It can only fit in a capital ship. The advanced navigation thing that you hook up to psionically. Yeah, I think that's capital ships only. This thing is definitely not large enough to hold that. I assure you. I won't tell you what prism is, but it's definitely not that.
All right. Well, my guess is out.
For one thing,
that is a specific different system, and it's not part of the whole. So.
And the important part is that this ship normally wouldn't travel through jump drive. I'm sorry, it wouldn't travel through spike drive. The spike drive isn't even hooked up right now. Spike drive was a secondary. It's like a lifeboat in case the jump gates go down. You know,
right?
It's for these losers out here in the colonies on the edge of space.
Those that must be converted back.
Yeah.
All right. Before we sign off, I just want to say it's such a pleasure reading about your mother today. Been waiting a long time for the Grace Vantis reveal.
Very fitting. Mother's Day of 2 days ago.
That's true.
I feel like if you had come here first and learned about the Link and Grace and y'all, that it would have been a very different game, very confusingly different game. But we've taken such a weird path for me. I would have not anticipated that this is the dialogue tree we ended up going down. I just want to continue to say that I'm amazed we've arrived at this location in the way that we have. Are we good for next week?
I am.
I believe so.
Okay. I think
I'll be back with two parents, so I should definitely not have to leave a couple times.
I think we're about 6 to 7 episodes away from the end of season 1, where we'll take a short break to determine how to go into season 2. It might only be like a 1, but just know we're coming up on it. All right, guys. I'm going to go to stream ending. Have a good... Oh, I forgot how mouses work. Have a good time zone.